Hi, everybody. How is everybody? I apologize for this horrible music. I actually edited the music and it just told me, oh, the file is too large, and it just wasn't time to edit it before live. So I'm still learning this new stuff, and hopefully, you guys will forgive me. Andy is already waiting in the studio. She's a Capricorn, so I'm going to interview her. I don't know if Lorna is going to make it. It might be still sleepy time in California. It will be cool because she's Gemini, and we are just about to finish Gemini, so it will be cool to get her thoughts as well. So, okay, guys, I'm going to just jump in because I cannot split it in two times because the next week they're coming to finally, hopefully, fix my internet because it's just going up and down all the time. So I'll be getting, oh, Kyla likes the music because. It's sometimes 8 megabytes per second, and I didn't have that slow in 20 years. So hopefully this new modem is going to help. So Barbie, just an introduction. I did send you an email. We love your like kind of like daisy with a smiley in it. I did invite you to be an admin to the system as well. So when you get a time, if you get a time, please come in and kind of like go around. Like you can literally do all of that stuff that I'm doing yourself. So it can be actually much easier for you and much less work and actually more enjoyment. So, okay, the first one, as usual, there will be actually two. We are going to finish with Gemini because it's kind of like the end of their season, but the next one will be Cancer. So we know the first two, so no guesses. After that, I'm going to have this one, so you can guess for that one. I'm going to be placing it, I guess, just a little bit off the screen for you. But let's start. So Gemini, happy belated birthday. Or happy birthdays to those of you who still didn't experience it. So let's do it. Let me just put the timestamp. Oh my gosh, I'm just right on time. So let me see if that can work. So I'm going to be a little bit more streamlined in doing that. So, and actually, believe it or not, I prepared these guys as well. So look at that. Look at how great this can actually work once when you have the proper software. I wish I did it before. And they actually just sent an email yesterday. They kind of like gave a little bit more into the freebies solution, which is just sufficient enough for here, except that I have to suffer seeing their StreamYard logo, but so it is. So Gemini, let's see over here what I can do for you. So, Gemini. And if it has or knows a Gemini, it would be really interesting. So the very first card you got is Sky King. Interestingly enough, it's a little bit blurry. Let me see if I turn off this light. Is it going to improve a little bit? Not much, not by much. So I'm going to, is it helping? It's helping if it's off. Okay. Hello, kittens. Gemini. And there we go. Like Gemini has spoken over here. And here is like what we received. So the King of Sky, which will be the King of Swords reversed. That dude is not fun when he reverses. Oh my goodness, that dude is mean and he almost like wants you to fail and that kind of like stuff. And you know what? Usually the very next sign after our birthday sign is difficult period for all of us. It just like feels like the party is over and we have all of this headache. So it's kind of normal, and I'm seeing this happening. For you guys, this can talk about contracts, this can talk about stuff that are just not going well, especially because this is kind of like coupled with Fire Tom. And Fire Tom is like, could be Sagittarius, but it's one of those people who, hello, good morning, and hello, Lord. Now look at that. We have a Gemini here. So, but this dude, he comes in and out, and he is somebody who promises a lot but doesn't deliver. This person is genuinely enlightened if you really wish. It's kind of hard for us to kind of accept it, but he lives in the moment, and he kind of like does stuff that, so he will, for example, if this is a boyfriend, he would, well, I would not say boyfriend because they just actually never mature or graduate to that stage. And that's why I probably get the most complaints about Geminis and Sagittarius. This guy is going to have an amazing date with you. He's going to take you places. You're going to try different things. But then, Andy is dating Sagittarius, so we'll see her comments on that one. But then he kind of like the next day, as if that was a movie, it was just forgotten. So now it's a different day. And this is like where you cannot really fully rely on it. It's like that moving energy. And it's even showing here, if you kind of like wish, kind of like he's wiggling through this fire, and then his tail is catching on fire here, if you can see it. So these two creatures, because we have two faces, very important faces in tarot, are turning around. And which means it could be two people that are creating some kind of like a fight. And this is like cold, like the winter, and that it's a fire, which is kind of good because they can actually balance each other out. There are some positive things here as well, because we have a 3 of fire and then we have a 7 of fire. So you guys will have lots of fire in your upcoming period when we go through Cancer, which is really interesting because Cancer is very pushing you into moodiness, because you already kind of like a back and forth with having those two faces in your symbol. But like I know the Cancer is like, okay, like take a deep breath. We are going like deep down and explore our emotions. And for you who's going back and forward, it's kind of hard to swim through that kind of like thickness over there. So 3 of fire is actually talking about goals and where you want to go. And like as you can see, we know like when we see the kitty cats like that, they are just about to kind of like jump and kind of like deal with that, right? So we know this is just imminent here, that is really happening, right? So it's really kind of like important to know that like you're ready to spread your wings for something, right? So even though one person or these two aspects, two faces of the same person really heavily pissed you off, maybe you're saying, you know what, F it. I'm out of here. I'm not caring about it anymore. And then we get into that 7 of fire. And 7 of fire is really interesting because like you get like, right? The kitty cat is defending himself, and very successfully though, because they're like all of these other cats that are not approaching, even though they can easily outnumber this cat. Why? Because he strategically found a really, really good spot. So it's going to be all about strategy, my dear Gemini. Strategy, strategy, strategy. So whatever you're doing, it's going to be really important that you kind of like look in that direction. So just maybe, you know what I say, if somebody is sinking themselves, just let them, don't jump in. Did you ever see when people jump into argument between the two people, that's the person who ends up gets the like shortest end of the stick, right? So no, if you're seeing something like that, just observe and don't jump in. So that is what is going to be very, very, very interesting. Oh, there is like Andy saying not anymore. The Sag reached his end. They're really, really interesting, but I have to say I really have the lovely memories of my Saggies, but I have to admit that would never last. I really want to check these two people, what comes here for you. And 2 cards came out. One is faithfulness, of some kind of like sort of loyalty, and then it lists sides, just as I was talking about it, right? So generally, the King of Swords is very loyal. So it's also a possibility that somebody here feels betrayed, because remember, sides came reversed. And like, look at this card. She is leaning on a really kind of heavy, probably stone bench. I don't know if you can see it. She has the letter, or most likely, let's translate it in the 21st century, a phone in her card. The rose is down, like, ugh. And I think she's looking at the boat that is really leaving. And boat is like a really big symbol in the 17th century, whenever this was made, as kind of like, I'm missing you. I'm kind of like away from somebody, right? So it is kind of like really interesting because we have this like very sturdy image, so almost like you have invested in something for such a long time, right? And then something is just going basically tits up kind of a thing, right? So Well, this kind of like usually talks about positive results, faithfulness. So it's kind of like good in spite of all of that, possibly arguing and negativity. Something good is going to come out of it, right? Positive results can go right in that direction, right? Also, this usually talks about teamwork because it's the dog and the owner kind of like a thing over there. So it is basically telling you that just see things for what they are. Somebody's just, venting off. And here is a little bit different because it looks to me like now there are two people because in Italian that will be sospiri, right? And that will be those sighs that kind of like she's like releasing. So this is like about searching an answer for a solution, and it can also feel isolated. It can be a little bit abandoned, right? That's kind of like where we are heading, and it's really kind of like feeling that something or somebody is unfulfilling. So when this card reverses, it really tells us it's the end of waiting. You're not there. Hence the sights for something like, it's over. I'm kind of like there, right? So maybe you have experienced some anxiety that you calm down with kind of like being reasonable, but here it is. You know what? The wish maybe came through. Maybe you got it. The dream came true, or you just don't want to go in that direction. It's one of those things, right? So something is coming to an end. Whether or not this is good, this is kind of like depending on your thing. So I would really suggest exercise as much grace as you can, because this is going to be something about responsibility for the situation. So I really, really hope, this guy, Gemini's helps you to kind of like go further. So next one, I am doing Cancer. So we are going to go here and timestamp. And just at one point, so I'm going to pull Andy in for a few questions about how it is being Capricorn. So Andy, possibly kind of halfway through it, or maybe 4 cards in, because maybe Lorna is going to come in. I think she mentioned, but I'm not so sure. Lorna, are you here? Are you coming in later? Just let us know so that way I can kind of like figure out my time. So you guys can guess which one is, and that's the next one, because right now we are going in Cancer. Cancer, starting with Death. Whoa, this is heavy, and it is your birthday time. That is like really, really. And Barbie, could you please monitor what people guess, so kind of like we know about that. So Cancers. This one wanted to come out, and then you have a 2 of Sky. This card, I cannot even look at it, how sad it makes me feel each and every time, because I don't know if you look at it, and I remember the other people kind of like reviewing this deck, and they had the same reaction. These are kind of like those proverbial 9 lives, kind of like that have been kind of lost in the process. Let me see. It must be a bird or another dog walking on a lawn. That's why you hear the barking. And let's see. Barbie, you guessed Cancer, but Cancer was announced. Okay, so all right, Lorna. Lorna is not going to be interviewed, so next time we are going to do it. But then, Andy, like when I get tired of this, when I need a break, I'll call you in. So I can actually put you on if you wish from time to time to comment. You just wave me, nod me, or just send me a message so we can go from there. I'm still learning this, so it's going to take me a bit to figure out everything I can do. So Cancer, you have Death, you have a 2 of Sky, and you have a 5 of Fire. So very similar to Gemini. Almost looks like, to me, that would be early Cancers. It will be those in June that they're going to experience a little bit more of kind of like, let's say, putting the line in the sand, I would say, right? There is like something, there is a direction. It does make complete sense. Something is ending. Something has to end in order for you to move on. But you're not fully ready to move on, because in the stage 2 of tarot, we are really not moving on. In stage 2, we are just kind of like thinking, where does the wind blow? Where will I go? Kind of a thing. And I love this card because this is a decision, kind of like, let's sniff what's up in the air. So decision is not reached. Remember, we had just with what do you call it? Gemini, like the little kitty that was just like about to jump. So that's the stage where it's imminent and it's basically happening, right? So we can say already, even though it didn't happen yet, that this is kind of like something that is going to be. But here we have somebody coming in a way. The Five of Fire is like talking about Ah, look at them. They are kind of like playful. They're kittens playing. They're learning the new skills. They're learning a new game. But what they're really learning is establishing who is the strongest, establishing who is the bully, establishing who is the meek one. But kind of like this is the card all about boundaries. And if you know me better, which my mods and my friends know me, one of these people said, I'm the best ever she has heard about establishing boundaries. I totally tell people right out the gate, please don't do that. I cannot do that. And it took me decades to actually learn to get to that, because initially you're like really feeling embarrassed telling people to stop doing something that bothers you or not appropriate. And then you get over all of that and you say, please, I just don't care for that. So people sometimes will just ignore it and walk over you. And we all have people like that. And it's just like, for me, there is no option. You do that on a first warning, on a second warning, that's it. You're out of my life. I don't care who you are. This is it. So this is really interesting. But the death card is like really deep card. And it can mean significant kind of like change in your life. So I'm going to get here to see what else we get. So guys, tell me, where are you and where are you from and what sign you are? It's always good to have this online so we know when we are heading into that, because you're sending the energies, and that's kind of like what is what's really, really important, right? So here we have melancholy, right? Melancholy is like precursor to depression. It's kind of like it will be the Four of Cups card in tarot, like where somebody is having something really good on the table, like, I mean, you're hungry, but whatever they put in front of you at the table, you're not really into it, and you don't know why. Everything looks great, everything looks promising, but you're just not, kind of like, it's not triggering you properly, right? And then we have journey, which does make sense. They're almost like two facets of this card, right? This card is generally talking about dwelling on mistakes. So depression is always having the other side of that coin, which is like anger or upset or grief, possibly, right? Maybe there are some kind of regrets. Maybe you guys are thinking about someone past, of a sense. Keep in mind the card is reversed, right? Even though it's connecting to a very positive card, so it's kind of like lessening this impact, because this actually can talk about emotional breakdown. So I don't know, Cancers, if you have been through something, I'm really sorry to hear that, right? Because that can talk about, emotional breakdown, like, I mean, a breakup, or something is like off with the family relationships. There is some kind of loss of a family. Like a friendship, possibly, kind of like even maybe loss of money, right? So I don't really see the wedding card next to it, so I don't think it's a divorce of some sort. But whatever this was, it kind of like sent you off to this journey, right? And journey is like a very positive card. It's almost like a rider in Lenormand. And that can mean a trip or vacation, which probably is a really good way to get your like, how in French you say how to kind of, it's expression, je vais changer mes idées. I'm going to change my ideas, right? It's basically what that's a literal translation, but it means I'm going to clear my head, kind of like thing, right? But it's kind of really interesting how they're like putting that in and how they're really dealing with that. So this is really, really interesting, right? So, like, I mean, there's possibly somebody who is late and delayed over here, or you're maybe late to the show. And it's kind of like somebody who is coming or going. It could be a long distance travel, but keep in mind that the death card is very metaphorical, and it's kind of like really dealing with this, right? So, it's some kind of a situational change, and like this is really important. You're really feeling free of shackles. You're feeling kind of like I'm ready. I'm kind of like ready to kind of like open my wings and go. And this time around, like you're really, really putting your foot down. So, guys, maybe the opening of the month is not going to be that great, but trust me, this is a really good card actually. It's going to set you up for something really successful, because ultimately 13 is like the emperor, is a card of control and charge. However, because it's bigger than emperor, like it's the next kind of like level, you not only have to learn control, but also to let go of things when something is not anymore needed in your life, or it's not so much needed, but sort of like karmically you have to progress. Okie dokie. So now we are moving to the next, and let's see. We had guesses, and this is so much better. There's like not such a huge delay like we had before, because it goes through online software. So the next one, oh my God, who guessed? Did we have, let's see, who guessed? I think I saw Capricorn. I did see somebody saying as when I glanced. Let me see. I'm tracking back. Cancer, Barbie. Okay, so let's see what we had. Barbie had Cancer, but Cancer doesn't count because I did say Kylie had Pisces and the Virgo. Like, did you not guess Andy Capricorn, or no? Sandy guessed Leo. Da, 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 da. What? Nobody? Like, am I losing my? Oh, cat ended. And it did guess a Capricorn. So let's do something really differently this time. Let me get another deck. Or should I get another deck? Let's do this. Let's do karma cards for this reading for a while. So Andy, let's get this. Anybody else? Andy guessed. Yes, Andy guessed. So you're getting this card. This is a card of some kind of impasse, right? It's falling into sacral kind of like chakra, which is really interesting. These karma cards always come with these little stories, very allegorical stories, right? Little fairy tales for the adults. So check this out. Like the couple is traveling, right? And poof, there is like this giant right in front of them. Look at the size. I think he's bigger than the entire forest. And everybody's like, whoa, dude, you have to move off the road. He says, no, there's like no way to pass here. You have to find a different way. Yeah, but if you go a different way, we're never going to make it there in time. He said, just trust me, you need to find another way. So after a bit of back and forth, they actually are leaving. And as they are leaving, they are hearing this like roar. And this kind of like the whole bunch of the mountain is just like sliding. And so basically that was their guardian angel that saved them from basically disaster, right? But nonetheless, they have been rerouted. And that was sort of like a little kind of like fork in the road, if you kind of like wish. So Andy, like the goal is still there. Something maybe has been. Let me just add Andy, since I do have ability to add her. That's Andy already here, guys, and we are reading for her. So any of my mods who want to enter the studio, I'll do so, and I will let you know before I call you in. So Andy, this is kind of like something that you have in mind, that it felt like it just cannot keep going. It just for some reason is not doable. But this is telling you, like, you know what, don't wait for your present situation to change, kind of like go find another path, or just keep staying focused. And this card is very much talking about adaptability, how adaptable really you are, and what does this card, reveal about your feelings and your reaction to delays. Who is this bothering you very much? You want to murder somebody? Like, that's my reaction. Okay, like, what do you mean? Right? Or right, so this is kind of like really question, because like, look, maybe it could be a destiny that is purposely doing that, because something would really, really be damaging for you should you continue, because this is all about wisdom and opportunity and surrender. So I really hope this kind of like gives you a little bit of stuff. And interesting what is in the sacral chakras. It's about um, gut, not so much gut instinct because that's a solar plexus, but still there is like almost like a sexual um, reactions. It's not love, but it could be connected to some kind of like that's ex-Sagittarius, right? It could be connecting to some
about the Sagittarius at all.
no. So you probably know what it is. I'm not going to ask publicly, right? Ever, but
It is.
Sorry.
Oh, I know what it is.
Oh, you do know what it is. Okay. Then I don't have to go for it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the entire screen. And since we drew Capricorn so early, right after the reading, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let me see. How do I remove? Oh, there it goes. So let's see. Capricorn. So guys, don't you like this little kind of like interviews abilities? I just love it. And I wish I discovered it earlier. So timestamp, Capricorn. Where is Chris? Like Chris decided to quit on us. I'll send him an email eventually to say coming. Okay. Boy, Capricorn just like went out and gave me a whole bunch of cards. So we have Sky Kitten, which would be like the page of swords, and then we have Ace of Cups. We have stars. It is like a cute card. Like I will be a lion one day. And I think, I don't know, that's probably not the catnip, but there's like some, I remember reading in the book, it was some kind of beneficial thing. And then we have a sea tom. Look at that. We have water, and then we have air. Air is a little bit stronger here because we have the major arcana over here, which is actually really dominating this reading. So nonetheless, something is happening here very interesting. So whether or not it's an air sign or a water sign, like these elements will be affecting your life for this transition of Capricorn. And I better probably put the Capricorn on over here so we know what we are doing. I think I've forgotten to do that for Cancer. If you guys can, just remind me, because like 10 things at the same time, kind of like that I need to do, right? So first and foremost, there is like need to clear the air, but sort of like this dude here, the Sky Kitten. As you can see, he's looking this, and he's just actually really not realizing that he's going to be stopping on a whole bunch of stuff, right? So it is somebody who's overly focused on their needs. Keep in mind that all swords are edgy, like we air signs can be edgy, and the main reason for that is like we are not extremely patient, and it's really fast, and anything that is in our way we kind of like eliminate. It doesn't give us the greatest social graces kind of a thing, even though we can refine them if we want to, but keep in mind it could be always the controlling nature. But it's really good because if somebody it's for good for different situations. If somebody's breaking into your house, you really don't want to discuss with somebody who is going to hit this person. You just react, right? So this is kind of like that, one of those things. Some reaction might be here, but this person is not having any bad intention. This is the person who really wishes to just, ask a question, even the question is very inappropriate or it's in the wrong place. But nonetheless, you're going to appreciate candidness of this person, because you're going to see this is tried and true. Like I can also ask questions back. Isn't that refreshing when you don't have to go through, oh my gosh, what did he mean? What did she mean? Stuff like that. But look at that. You actually are benefiting. You're actually going to be patient, because Capricorns can be patient. And this could be a child as well. This could be somebody just, the little child. Why is that? No. And why is that? And why is that? And why is that? And why is that? And after 10 minutes of that, okay, enough. Eat your ice cream kind of a thing, right? So that could be like that kind of like scenario. So then we have here Ace of Cups over here, which is something about fulfilling, something about new beginnings. It is very important for Capricorn because water nurture earth, which is your element. So this is kind of like really important, right? So that's kind of like what is really going on. So there is like possibility of something new happening, something that can really grow and something really, really big. The stars situation is like when we get nourished, when we get not only physically what we need, like so we get proper exercise, we get proper food, we get proper drink, but also we get that feeling like, you know how you feel on vacation, like nothing really exists, there is no tension in the face, all the muscles are relaxed, there is a beautiful breeze. That's kind of like what stars promises, right? But also when you're in the situation, it is really hard to move up the Maslow hierarchy of needs. As you know, like we go from the basic needs, shelter and food. And as we feel more and more cozy, then we get into kind of sexual needs, and we get into emotional needs, then we get into love, which is like more or less higher love, right? So with this is like even higher, like you're thinking about goals. It's just like short of, I'm God, even though cats, I think they're little gods, right? Like Egyptians obviously bought that scenario over there. And there is like somebody who is just simply materializing, because stars is saying, if you really think hard enough, that's what's going to happen. And not only that, he's showing you a little tummy over here, and that tummy is just, showing that I'm vulnerable and I'm willing to be vulnerable with you. And it's really interesting because he's a Tom. So this is like a knight. He is not the king, which tells me that there may be something early in the process, but it's very romantic. It's very emotional. There's nothing here, my Capricorns, to clarify. So that's going to be Capricorn. I am going to, it's a new one, is a Gemini. This could be Gemini. Like this is clearly connecting with Aquarius, but that's the triangle, right, of the swords. So that's going to be the next guess. But I'm going to grab Andy for a few moments. Andy is, there it is. I'm going to jump in. So let me actually make, how do I make her? Is it possible for her to go in to get whole screen? There it is. There you are. So Andy, I have to figure out how do I get my in as well, so we can have a face-to-face. So I didn't want to practice before live. So maybe later when we stay on, I can test if I can have both. So sorry, you're talking to the table in the meantime. Yeah. Okay. So I have a few questions for you here that I have prepared. And so
Them as best as I can.
So you're on the spot. You're talking for all Capricorns. So let's see what we can get out of that. So the very first question. So can you share with us how and where in your life you see influence of you having Sun in Capricorn?
Manifesting careers. I can do that, not a problem. Love life always seems to be, I don't know if it's blocks, it's because maybe I'm more focused on career, and they always say, yes, Capricorns are always focused on their money. Not necessarily. If you've already got it, if you already have the career, then you'd like to think that you'd get love in your life to complement it.
But aren't you guys horn dogs? Like, isn't this like
Oh.
why, kind of like you attract like, people around you like crazy?
Big time. This is it. I don't know how many times I've been on, and it's like, how many times have we gone through? Okay, I'm seeing this one right now. Okay, no, now it's this one. No, now it's this one. And it's true. It's not the difficulty of finding somebody. It's the find of making the relationship work with all the rest of your life, I guess. I don't know.
But like that's what happens. Like that's why I always see Capricorns as like high achievers, right? Like if you really look, for example, right now, like U.S. government, especially during the Trump administration, like there's this Gemini flying up and down like a little ping pong ball, but everybody behind the scene is a Capricorn, right? Yeah. And this is it. Like, I don't want to be a clown. I'm here. I'm staying here no matter what you do, kind of a thing. So that's significant security. Also, when you see Capricorns in the nature, climbing, like, right, those goats, right, that are represented, like climbing this like high, almost like 90-degree kind of cliffs, and they are not feeling fear. So that's kind of like career wise. But you're saying
Yeah.
for the private life, it's tricky.
It always seems to be. I,
Mm.
we and this may be letting out some of my secrets, but I'm very stoic. I'm very hidden. It's like, okay, so it didn't work. Okay, move on to the next. And keep a brave exterior on. One thing that people and I know that they always think that we're cold exterior, but we have such big hearts. We're so sensitive on the inside, and then it's it's very crushing, and we don't show that. Definitely, we don't show that. We're always we're always composed and in control.
Mm. Next question.
Yeah.
So, guys, any comments? Like, you want to ask Capricorn? You like have a Capricorn in your life? Just go ahead. I would invite your comments here as well. So, your guys represented with the Devil card. I always like when I kind of look at a card. I'm like always wondering, like, how do really Capricorns feel about that to be represented with this card? So, what are your thoughts about that?
I don't mind one bit. That
No.
that just means, to me, that means sexy as hell.
Okay. And you're going to enjoy it too, right? It's not that you're going to suppress yourself from anything, right?
Mhm.
Because if you think about famous Capricorn, and what's coming to mind is David Bowie, right? Like, he was a famous
Oh,
Capricorn. Oh my gosh. Like, I mean, it was nothing like stoic or overly conservative, like as you guys are ruled with Saturn, just like we are, kind of Aquarius, but just in a different way. But you guys are like, you know what, I'm going to be crazy, but it's my crazy kind of a thing, right?
and I may be on his moon or in whatever, in maybe one of his other signs that influenced him. I'm
I want to channel him next, and I really because, like, how many had channeling with Tina, she actually suggested David Bowie. So I was like, okay, do this next. I said, okay. And David Bowie was very spiritual, so it's not exclusive of people who are very career oriented to or sex oriented to not to be spiritual, right?
definitely. I'm curious what his moon and sun sign were.
Yeah, that would be really interesting to check. Maybe somebody can kind of look into that. And then the next one is like more or less, like your opinion, what is the most effective approach to take when pursuing a romantic relationship with a Capricorn woman in a dating context, kind of like not really when you're sinking in, but sort of like in the beginning. What are the tips you would tell somebody do this?
Speak honestly. Um, don't send cute pictures. Not turn me on at all.
Not dick pictures? I know, like, who actually likes that? Is there any woman who is going to go, wow,
I know, this is it. You
y'all
don't
look
look at it
small in the
and go, "Oh,
picture
how
too.
cute,"
It's not a
you
good
know?
idea. No? Y'all
No.
just look very small. So,
No. So, no pretty pictures.
oh,
Just, be I don't know, and I like upfront. I don't like it and wishy-washy. Somebody who can just, uh, have fun too. N
oops.
I want somebody who to have fun with, you
So
know?
it's a kind of like full immersion partner. You don't want somebody
Yeah,
who feels a little bit disconnected, right? So it just
that
has to be in.
well, this
Yeah.
is it's like somebody to spend time with and actually have fun while you do it. I eh, boring just and no, sorry, whoever had, and it's not Sagittarius in general, but the last one, yeah, he just bored me.
Really? So just usually not boring, but like, I mean, I guess we find everything everywhere kind of a
Well,
thing, right?
I have a Sagittarius moon, and
Okay.
even I'm more adventurous than he was. It's like I was, "Yay, let's go," and he was like,
But it also kind of depends on lots of life experiences, what we had in life, and what maybe made us to get to this point. But you
Well,
know
I'm
what? Yeah, if
guessing.
if it's making you sleep, that's not a good idea. So I did click the question for Lorna. That's going to be for next time. And this is the last part of interrogation. So how do you keep a Capricorn? I just wanted to mention, like when you said, I want somebody who is immersed, who is participating. And I was thinking, oh, that would not work for me.
Well, I like my alone time. Don't get me
Yeah.
comfortable by myself. And Capricorns a lot, they spend a lot of time by themselves. They're okay by being by themselves, but they also want a happy medium. You know, it's it's like they want to do stuff and they're homebodies, definitely homebodies, but I guess um, you can't stay home forever. You
That's
got
for sure. That's for sure. But let's say, what would you think? Like, let's say now you're over that hump, the pink glasses are off, so you're not anymore waiting for the butterflies, and now it's a functional part of a relationship, right? So, what do you think would make you sustain that relationship for a long time? What would be the qualities that he must have?
good sex.
Bravo.
Hey, that's how people bond. I'm sorry, but it's and no, I'm not sorry, but it's how people bond and keep the intimacy alive, you know, and I'm heavy on that. As a Capricorn, yes, we are, like you said, horn dogs.
Yeah.
So that's part of our bonding. That's how you keep closeness. You want to go off and do your whole own thing, go fishing, go doing whatever, you have a hobby, but come back home and then have great sex.
I know. It's like you see how different. I'm just listening to that. It's like none of that would like appeal to me. And that's kind of like what is really interesting, what's needing to hear when you actually encounter different signs, right? So how about like sleeping on a first date? What are your thoughts about that?
Personally, I don't see anything wrong with it. God knows I've done it. I can't say anybody who really has not. They've all had their moment. At this part in my life, I would rather form, and I think that was maybe in my younger years. And now that I'm older and more mature, I don't get me wrong, my old Sagittarius or my old Gemini, any day. But it's how can I put that? I'm looking for more mature love, like more, that somebody stability, somebody who, even though I can look after myself, I want somebody who wants to look after me. Versa. It's like I'd like to be able to think that we look after each other. Good partnership.
That's really amazing. I think that would be a really good basis of a good relationship. So it's kind of surprising. Yeah, but you still have to have this element. You see, for me, maybe because I'm older, sex is not that important anymore. But if he is not smart or he cannot
Yeah,
stimulate me mentally, I can't stay. It's just like that. So sometimes they're beautiful people with whom you can have a beautiful food and have a glass of wine, but just there's like nothing more there. And for most people, that's okay. For me, it isn't, and that really really sucks in my.
I agree with you because I look at when I'm just say 65, 70, 75, when being a horn dog, maybe the front, you still want to be able to communicate. You still want to go out and be able to do things with a partner, and enjoy their company. Somebody who just sits in a lazy boy chair and sits back and has a snooze is not going to do it for me.
You have a question from Barbie. I think Kylie is going to have her question, and the question is, have you ever been married?
Yes, I married a Gemini.
Tell us all about it. What
Well,
are your impressions of Gemini men? Because
Gemini,
women and men are a little bit different.
Gemini men, they tend to, their relationships tend not to work out when they're younger. They seem to find a mate later on in life, either their second marriage or third marriage. Then they settle down into, that. And it's just because I was married to one and we didn't work out, but we worked out for 12 years. We had a good relationship. Strange at some points, I think. Um,
Guess what? I have been married for a very short period of time to a Capricorn. I mean, why I say short period of time? Because it was an altar. This is how short it was. I don't know if it was 3 months or something like that. And it just, we're very different. It's like alien marriage kind of a thing. It was, yeah, it was just different. So I can understand like what you're talking about here, dealing with a Gemini. It's a different territory, right? Different species. Kind of a thing.
yeah, and I don't get it. On the astrological wheel, Capricorns and Geminis really are not supposed to mix. I read somewhere Capricorns and Geminis they marry some of the most, I can't remember what the percentage was, but it was higher than most other signs, which I thought was really strange.
It happens. I think I watched on Netflix before I canceled my subscription because there was like nothing else to watch. It was like dating according to the sign. I don't know. Did you watch it? It was something Astro by those Astro twins that I usually follow. They're really good.
Look that up.
It's actually really good. I really have to say they picked four. Were they all women? I think they were all women, and they were all representing one element, and they were picking up different people for them, and some of them not obvious, like you are mentioning. Some of them were just, I think it was, and I can't remember. Was it the Leo woman matched with Scorpio, which is not the kind of like self-explanatory one? But it was really interesting to see how real people, because real people are not only astrological combination, but also bring their own experiences, right? As you're saying, and that can be a glue itself, right? So it was how it worked. And I really enjoyed it because it was not the cheesy where they almost push people into doing something like in what do you call it, those Bachelor and Bachelorette kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was a little bit of competition in it. I'm not going to lie, but like, oh my gosh, you should see the woman who, I think she was Capricorn, who represented Earth. She was just absolutely goddess gorgeous, kind of like Earth women are, as you are, very, very gorgeous.
You.
Well, welcome. Kylie, I thought you're going to ask a question. And she said, I have a question, but then the question is not coming in. Kylie, where are you? So I cannot see the question. And I have to move forward, but let me just split the screen. I just want to test what all the screens are doing that I have here as a possibility. Okay, this one is good. This one is interesting. That's where I have more people. And these are kind of like back to me. So let's do this one for now. Oh, there she is. She did it. She did it here. So is dating challenging? No, this is not you. This is not you. How do I get you? Oh, come on. No, I cannot remove me. So, but I can do this. There we go. Is dating challenging now as a mature woman? I've put off dating for now and looking at dating in my mid to late 50s. So there you go.
Dating.
How is it challenging to date as a mature woman?
It's very challenging. If you can, as you get older, and this is talking to men and women all the time, as we get older, our circles get smaller. So either it's online dating, and online dating, well, that's hit or miss, but when you're younger, you have bigger social groups. You're going out, you're doing like either the clubs, and you have so many more people around. As you get older, you kind of tend to get in smaller friend groups, and they have less choices because most of them are either married off, or they're in relationships. So
And you have to deal lots of baggage, because I
yeah,
kind of
there's
like put myself in that category,
baggage at every level.
right? Especially because I'm a therapist, and then like I become a freaking therapist to them, and this is not a point of a relationship,
Yeah,
and it is much harder. Also, you're more choosy, don't you find it?
definitely more choose.
Yeah, it's not like young people think that we are desperate. No, it's actually the opposite. You're way more choosy because you understand your time and that this person can mess up your life. So you're very, very careful that way.
Yeah. If somebody asks me, why are you single? It's like, yeah, there's not a lot to choose from. I want somebody who's mature. And okay, just say somebody in their 50s. You know, I don't, I'm not looking necessarily for somebody that has a 12-year-old child, because I've been there, done. I had, when I was married, I had stepchildren. So they were 7 and 10 when I met him. I've already done that. I've already had my vacations geared around young children. At 50, I'm 53. So I'm not looking to go backwards and go on vacations with kids all the time. Hey, whoever, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking it, but I guess I've been there, done that, and I love children. I love everybody else's children, but I don't want my vacations as a 53-year-old based on children, I guess. And no offense to anybody who has kids, bless your hearts. Kids are beautiful, love them. Just I want to look. Hey, my vacations are based on me and having great sex.
Well, yeah. So it's kind of like weird, isn't it? You're becoming basically a 20 years, 20 plus something, right? And Kylie's like sex drive goes up. you
This is
know Orgasm every single time. It's kind of like much, much better. Even though our bodies are not looking the greatest, we are kind of like full. I was looking at my pictures and I thought I was fat when I was 18. I was like 50 pounds less.
I
What
know
was I thinking?
it, but I was more inhibited back then. And as you get older, you're not inhibited anymore. It's like you're okay with yourself. It's like, do I have a little bit more pounds on than I did? Yeah, but I have better sex. I'm less inhibited. Enjoy my experiences a hell of a lot more.
So Kylie is commenting. She goes, 100% agree. The standards or choices in the dating pool are slim. Thank you for sharing experience and insights. And you have a comment from Barbie. There you go. Mature women know what they want. Yay.
We, yes, we do. And it's okay at this age to actually want what you want, and not settle for less than what you want.
So I'm going to go back to the floor. So what is your guess? What is the next one, guys? Did you guess it? Like everybody was like so focused on you? I have like nobody talking. Like you kept attention of everybody. That's really cool. Like
I
you can see now how difficult it is to talk and follow the rhythm of people kind of like typing, right? It's not that the easiest thing in the world. So any guesses here, guys? Everybody can guess. We can
I'm
guess.
going Scorpio.
Oh, look at that. You got from Diabolical Snail, we love you.
Thank you. Mwah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's Scorpio for you. Let me see. Ikat is saying Leo. Anybody else throwing their hat in? I'm just scrolling back. Oh, Kylie also said previously, I love Capricorn and enjoying working with them. They're so hardworking, trustworthy, and loyal. So I did see it was a Leo here, Virgo and Aquarius. I can see those. And that's it. Like there, Kylie is Aries. Virgo. It's Barbie. Was it a Barbie last Virgo? I saw second Virgo. Just want to see. No, that was Barbie. So Barbie. So Andy, thank you. Hopefully you're going to stay in the studio until the end
Oh,
so we can chit chat in the end. That's a huge thing, guys. Everybody who is a mod gets a link and you can come in. I have up to 6 I can share. And then in the end, when I end the broadcast, we can actually chit chat with each other. So let me just try to switch here. There we go. So, Barbie, you're getting your card. Where is that deck? Immediately. So let's see. Barbie. Oops. And you got this one. And so you having completion card, and completion is really talking, it's also sacral chakra, interestingly enough, right? So sacral chakra means kind of like this is brewing to consciousness. This is not kind of like full blast kind of a thing, right? But nonetheless, it is really a beautiful card, right? Because if you see, she's like on a grave of her father, but she's thinking about him, and he's here in the soldier uniform. So her father was decorated in a war after he came from the war, and then he became an actor. But more or less, he was very well loved because everything that he has done during the war, right? So finally, he was laid to rest, and kind of like there is like this release in the heavens. So this card is really a reminder that we need to cherish beauty in our life. And you're Libra, like beauty should be the part of your regime because your ruler is Venus and it is all about beauty. And you literally, guys, can shrivel and shrink if you don't feel beautiful or if there's like not something beautiful you look at. And it takes one to know one. My ascendant Libra, like, I mean, this is why I have Safi and her beautiful face and kind of like doing this stuff, right? So you maybe want to think about the past and just to see what values you have and what you value most. Is that going to be really important? Because there's like almost like saying like you need to kind of like see what needs to be completed. So it is a little bit about your legacy. It's maybe you're looking people around maybe do that have passed and you're looking maybe at their legacy and how that is really impacting you. This is really also interesting because you know the death in every single deck is talking about like unless it's gypsy, gypsy death is that you're dead, but in most other decks is really talking about a renewal, refreshment. Maybe this was the end of some kind of grand adventure of some sort, but this is clearly talking about fulfillment and adventure and kind of like connection, also possibly with the other side. So I was surprised, Barbie, that you didn't want to do channeling because honestly it was awesome. I was like very honored that Tina showed up, and it's almost like talks like that you need to speak to your ancestors and you need to kind of like find that connection and advice and everything that is really coming to you. So I hope this helped over here. So Barbie was the winner, and let's remind everybody, Barbie is the master moderator. She runs the show here, and Kylie is her master assistant here. She steps in when she needs to, but Barbie is here in and out. And that's right, it's a Father's Day tomorrow. So everybody, I think Australia already has Father's Day. Happy Father's Day there. So we are going to do Virgo. Let me put a stamp here. Okay, Virgo. And let's see what do we get here for you, Virgo. Is any Virgo here, guys? Raise your hand. I want to know what's going on. And thank you all, to all who kind of like shared and asked questions already. I think it was awesome. And I can't wait for all of you to get used to the system. So when we have this off time that is like not a monthly reading, you can simply have just chit chat and a whole bunch of questions. I think will be awesome. So we have a jumper here, and the jumper is Sky Queen. And then we have the Four of Swords. Like there are lots of air happening here, guys. And here we go. And this one is a Six of Wands or Six of Fire. So what is really happening over here? So Sky Queen is Proverbial Queen of Swords is always being bad-mouthed, and I really don't like it, right? Queen of Swords can be any one of us. It could be talking about a person who has been going through thick and thin. If you ever read Les Miserables, like by Victor Hugo, it really talks about this beautiful Esmeralda who just gave her hair and teeth and everything just to simply kind of like survive, right? And like this kind of like survival thing or things that are going up and down, things that we need to do, really kind of like take a little notch down, take us a notch down, take a little bit out of us. So this is the ultimate survival. She has been through all of it. People did put her down. She was stepped on, stamped on, like injured, destroyed, abused. And guess what? She survived. So what basically happens in this situation, the people either become massive losers, right? Like a hangman situation, you need to go to some proverbial prison, or you become very resilient. So this is what she is. She is resilient in the upright situation, right? And also she is very, very empathetic and compassionate because she knows exactly how it feels, right? So it's almost like that maybe you have a figure like that in your life who is telling you like, you know what, been there, done that, you need to rest, you're like wearing yourself thin, right? Because this is what this card means. Like Four of Sky is basically about gratitude and about R&R. So what we really need to do that here is but it's reversed. So it's basically telling me this is mostly you, Virgos. You are like really not you're like wearing yourself down, wearing yourself thin, and something is really happening. Maybe you're like after some kind of project because like there is like the Six of Fire over here, and Six of Fire. Look at that! Everybody is bringing like a gift, a toy, and a mouse or catnip to the master cat over here, right? So this is like the temporary situation when you get a job and then like, yeah, I made it. But we all have, every single one of us had that situation when we were just like a little sperm, like not so much women, because a little sperm, I made it, this is my egg kind of a thing, right? And like, so this is a situation where we feel that we are like ahead of our game or on top of our game. So it's a very, very good situation. In the next phase, we need to start defending our position because other people are trying to get there. Other people are trying to enjoy this, right? So that's really important. I also want to check why this one reversed, because this one usually talks about the knight who was sent to battle, but before they're sent to battle, they have to create their, casket. And when they come back live, they would lie down on this casket and give their thanks for being returned alive and not needing to use it, right? So I want to see significance of that because it's clearly, look at it. Did I not say the death is only a death? So maybe you're looking about collateral damage of some sort, right? Because there's like something that has happened that maybe it's from the past. It's really weird. But like it's something that maybe still painful. Maybe you're talking to a therapist. This can be your theater reader therapist, whatever works for you. Like different people find different paths to kind of like heal themselves, right? And like this can really talk about it, maybe kind of like speaking about your issues, but it almost looks to me um that this is getting to the point that this is like no longer sustainable, if you wish, right? Because generally when death, remember how I said death is kind of like death in gypsy deck. So generally when this kind of like comes like that, it talks about something shocking or unreasonable, and yes, can talk about physical death. Maybe you guys mourning a loss of somebody who you wanted to have in your life of some sort, or you have been dealing with somebody who was deceitful or hateful. Um, this actually also can indicate revenge, even like those voodoo magic kind of like being implemented on you. So this tells me that you had been also subject to challenges, and maybe this is why you find Queen of Swords very appealing, or you might be also that Queen of Swords and you're saying, you know what, I have been through thick and thin, and sure, there are scars. I see scars, and every single scar reminds me of everything that I have been through, but I am a winner. And like, you know what? Like, I mean, Virgos are really finding pride in them taking care of themselves and kind of like being really good to themselves. So that is kind of like very important aspect. So my dear Virgo, this is going to be very fulfilling month for you because you're going to really realize your own powers. So, who is next? I guess I have to pull this one out so you can still have a few guesses. Over here, bring this back. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So that'll be the fifth one. Shuffling. So Barbie's a Taurus, Kylie Aquarius, and the Scorpio. So let's see, what do we get here? Scorpio, Andy, you are doing this again. Do you want me to pull you on the screen? Like, nod if you want to. I'm not seeing nodding. I'm not seeing not. Yes or no? What do you say?
Sure.
Okay. So let's do this here. Again, split screen. Add to stream. Voila. How about, can I change it? How do I change it? No.
Just I've got to go on today.
Yeah, I see. Like, it used to be Barbie was like just like freaking that, right? So, this is your comment. What I'm finding, men are slacking off. I'm looking for a great value. Yeah, I find that men really can let themselves go, and this is so weird. Like, they used to complain about women letting themselves go, but boy, how they do it, like
Well,
nobody can win, right?
it's not equal take anymore. Like it's give and take. It's like that lately guys, they put in an effort for the first couple of dates, and then it's like then they expect you to completely do stuff, and it's like, okay, come on, let's work together at this and find something to do. And it's like, and then I find that I'm the one that always has to put in the most effort, and it's like, yeah,
Hmm.
that's not
Interesting.
fun all the time.
Well, yeah. So you got a card that is called Facade. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. It talks about, like, I mean, the little boy who was very young when his father died, right? So in the old times, when you were a male, you would become the head of the family, especially if you were the younger son, kind of a thing. So he had to take over all this responsibility, and off it goes your childhood, right? It's pretty much similar to my grandfather. Like, his father committed suicide, and so he was like only 19 when he had to take care of this entire family, 7 sisters, right? So he decided, I'll become an engineer. So he kind of like invested, I think he sold one of the houses, invested in his education, and I think that really paid off. But nonetheless, this is like one of those situations, right? So still it's the sad part. And I think Michael Jackson is another example. He really didn't have a childhood. He was like pushed to work right out of the gate when he was very, very young. So it's kind of like what is really interesting, because as he kind of like was doing all of these duties for the family, one day he was walking by the park and he saw the children playing, right? Because he actually really never played. He was kind of like quickly kind of jumped behind the tree and started to cry because he didn't really want to show his emotions in the situation and show others how hard it is on him, right? But when the end of his life arrived, when he was going through all this tunnel, as they're talking about, he's seen the same tree and he stopped there, right? And he reclaimed his inner child and joined his father, kind of like in this unity, kind of like at that stage, right? So this card is like more or less, it's yellow, so it is a solar plexus. It's about confidence. It talks about really relationships, right? If you're really unhappy, maybe you're relating to others through the sense of duty, right? So be very careful with that, because that is really warning you about that. Give up being something that you are not. If at any point you find yourself you're overly sweet or you're camouflaging something, at the very least you need to examine yourself. Why am I doing that, right? And what benefit can come out of it, because then other people are really not seeing us. They're seeing that artificial wall that we are actually really building, a facade, if you really wish, right? So this is all about reclaiming your life, right? Do you have any childhood pain that maybe needs to be released, and kind of like something that you buried and something that you really didn't want to show, right?
You know what card? Can I say what that card relates to?
Yeah.
As a Capricorn, that would relate to Capricorns are they grow up fast, and as they get older, they're kids again. They want to experience their childhood that they never got.
And this is exactly what it is. I was just about to say it next. This is about reclaiming your life, about playing, right? So, like, doesn't matter. Isn't this what Michael Jackson did? What sign was he? He was Virgo, I believe, right? Virgo. Yeah, and then he built this like entertainment whole center and park, and it was inviting children. And honestly, I never felt that he was sexually abusing them. I know it was weird, but I always felt he was, and it was good to
Yeah.
channel him. He was just playful. He wanted to reclaim that part of his life,
Yep.
right? So that was it. So good guesses, Andy. Let me go back on my schedule. Thank you so much for joining in. So who is next, guys? Did you have another guesses, or did I have did the word go? So this will be the very next one, and then the one after. I'm putting this aside. So let's see. Nobody's talking, guys. What is this? Like everybody is asleep or something? I need you guys to interact a little bit. So we have Libra. We have Aries, Leo. Did anybody put Libra? Well, Barbie is Libra. And again, as I said, just let's not forget that she's doing this beautiful, beautiful service to all of us. So let's give her a round of applause. And let's start doing a Libra. My timestamp over here is here. And I just wish that this thing has timestamps and I can just click on it. And this is just the only thing that is missing, but it doesn't really exist in the paid version either. So then you have the first one is Good Kitty. That's the judgment card. Okay. This one wants to come out. Ooh, we have a C Tom and then we have a Death reversed. So interesting, my dear Libra. Let's put it in perspective. We are going through transition of Cancer. It is not ideal. You have your card is like sitting on the throne with a big sword. Sword is not going to do well in I need to put Libra right here. Let's put Barbie comment. So sword kind of like goes rusty in the water, and I don't know if you can really want to fish with that, to be honest, maybe for a very short period of time. You have two very, very heavy cards. And I really have to say, almost like feels like a karmic release of some sort. First of all, Good Kitty is a good thing. You're kind of like winning some brownie points. There's like something really, really going on. You're like awarded. There is like a stage in your karma development that has been, that did well. And like you are really, it's going to be a celebration. You might also have a Scorpio in your life, because both of these cards are really talking Scorpio here. So this is really, really important to kind of examine. But also, I really have to be honest with you that these days Aquarians can appear as Scorpio, because this whole planetary kind of like motion that they happen. So keep that in mind, because you also have the sea tom to boot. So we have a Pluto, we have a Scorpio, and then we have a water sign. It's going to be a big emotional month, which will go most likely from extremely well to flirtatious, because this is your knight in the shining armor, right? To flirtatious to, oh my God. So I wonder if that's connecting. We are going to check with Gypsy cards, because here you have lost your ninth life over here. So you really, really need to choose carefully, because somebody's saying, oh, look at me, pat my belly. I'm vulnerable. By the way, my kitty Matrix, and he comes rarely here, but you know him himself is big brother and protector. He he doesn't have hair on his tummy. I guess the stress of moving and then adopting 2 kittens and a dog is just too much for him to handle. And he's, I don't know for sure, but I would guess that he's Taurus because he likes his food. And for Taurus, who's moving very slow, oh my God, like stress really comes to them. But here is this kitty showing you that tummy and everything is kind of like really working well, and so be careful because almost could be like a trap, but this could be also trap of your own mind. So let me just get the gypsy cards over here and see what it goes here, right? So Andy said he had the money, as will be Michael Jackson, to bring joy into kids' lives. Yeah, that's what it's all about. So, and Kylie, I also do not believe MJ did anything to these kids. And David created childhood for kids he was dropped off. And then we have a merchant. So merchant is like really much a business card. Like it's something transactional, and it really doesn't make sense over here with the C tome. So it's really leading me to believe that maybe is kind of like with you, around you for ulterior motives, right? Because this would be like just all business. Like, like the business and love just don't really mix very much, right? So it's about the profit, investments, and being kind of successful businessman, if you wish, negotiations. But it can also talk about being cunning and crafty or devious, if you kind of like wish, right? So there's like another card that has this little boat in the background, right? So he's exchanging his wares, he's picking up his money, and like this dude is all kind of like lovey-dovey. So as you can see how it could be simply a filter or somebody kind of like presenting something that it is. This could be somebody older. It could be somebody married, and maybe this is like what happens. Somebody's very flirtatious, very interesting, showers you with gifts and flowers, and then you find out, oh, dude is married. Or just like Andy said, like somebody just keeps it up for 3 days and then I don't care about it anymore. I did my job of wooing you, kind of a thing, right? So it could be also that you're like processing yourself and wondering, do you have to lose weight? It's kind of like you're looking in some kind of like improvements if you really wish, right? But this clearly is somebody who is very prosperous, but not necessarily for you, but for himself, right? Because generally this is not a negative card, really. I would even say when it's reversed, not so much. But in this combination, because the death comes reversed, which means, you see, when it comes this way, you kind of like get to the point that we accept it, But when it comes reversed, it's really hard. It's kind of like that why that lingers in the air. And I'm hearing Onyx with his little me. And like it's interesting that they don't come to the table. So my dear Libra, my dear Barbie, buckle up, kind of a thing, right? So let's see. Okay. Who is next, guys? Where are your guesses? I have the next one here. So let's do this. Onyx, kitty. 2, 4, 5. I don't know if I'm going to be managing all of them, but hopefully I'll have to speed up a little bit. So we have Aries, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Aquarius, and Pisces left. So we have Aries, Leo, and Leo. Ooh, Aquarius is next. Aquarius, ladies and gentlemen. So Aquarius is timestamp. Okay, so Aqua girls and boys. Let's see what we have over here. I'm going to pull the one for the next round, so you can guess this one here as well. And let's do it. Aquarius. And this is so much better without like this 3 minutes delay. That was annoying the hell out of me. That's really the reason why I wanted to switch the platform, because I just like felt it was just so like, when you laugh at the joke 3 minutes later, it just doesn't work. So Aquarians, what do we have? We have 8 of Cups reversed, Then we have Earth Kitten. So that would be the page of Pentacles. And then we have a Sky Tome, which will be the Knight of Swords. So this is really interesting because Eight of Cups means that we have been exploring and trying different things and trying to see what really works for us. So it's actually really Aquarius. Thanks, Barbie. Look at this little pretty little icon that you picked, right? So, and thanks, Barbie. This is really helping, and I really like the little kind of like decorations next to it. Much better than mine. So we are coming back after exploring and playing the field and doing the stuff, right? And we are kind of like finding out that something that we already previously had was what we really needed, what we wanted, right? So it can describe like somebody being a friend, and then you date and you try different things and you realize, actually that's the person that I really, really wanted. And that's kind of like where I want to be, right? And the Earth Kitten, even though this is Pentacles and even though it's Earth, I always see this card as a proverbial Aquarian card. So pay attention, be with your friends, do stuff with your friends. It's kind of like really important to kind of like see and work with that dimension, that relationship. Sky Tom is about goals. Like, remember how we saw this little Sky Kitten? He was like also chasing something which was just a play. But this dude is in the clouds and he's chasing the real stuff, right? So it really talks about focus to a goal that is incredible. And it's really arriving to this goal in a really, really fast way. So it's going to be a lots of stop and go in the upcoming month for you Aquarians, where, like you will stop to smell the roses and spend time with friends. You're going to appreciate and acknowledge people who have been there, with who you care for, who you loved. But you're also going to put your hat on, and almost like that tells me work is going to be ridiculously important, and you're going to be really focused and accomplishing a lot. So really there is not much to clarify, but I just want to really see what this really relates to, where we're going to that. And there is like some kind of like cheerfulness. It's maybe going to the group of people that kind of like at some point in time made you very, very happy. I have to tell you, like in my life, what is going on. There is like a big organization of a high school reunion. They're trying to get us all in, and we are all now connecting on WhatsApp, kind of a thing. So it's kind of like interesting how so many years later people are really kind of like saying, and you're still seeing that youthfulness in it, and you're still kind of like it's evoking all of these old kind of like feelings, right? Because there is like clearly something that is going on. It could be a social event, reception, I don't know, baby shower, celebration, wedding, right? It's simply kind of like talking about that we need to get out more, because I'm Aquarius as well, right? And a good mood is going to be what is really helping us all kind of like do stuff. So it's really obvious the positive nature of this card, right? I don't have to really go into too many details, but it also talks about harmonious relationship. I can see it here, and knowing when is like time for play, when is it time to kind of like work hard, kind of a thing, right? So just keep in mind that this is going to be nice, tranquil, kind of like a time. It can even be a new job, a promotion, a raise of some sort. So just keep this in mind. So guys, advice for you for this month would be to kind of like launch yourself into obstacles, diffuse any problems with, I don't know, love, right? Because joy is going to be a solution in this particular month. So there we go. So there you go. So yeah, Barbie, like I really hope you're going to find your way to the back end, because it will be freaking awesome. You never have to join in if you don't want on camera, so no worries about that. So that was Aquarian. So next one almost fell on the floor. I didn't want to crawl under the desk right now. It was not necessarily my intention. I'm going to pull the next one over here. So you have a different icons on this one. Is it what it is, or you still? I got you. So we have. So it's everything that comes after Barbie announces the sign. I am taking that as an entry over here. So that's ideal. So Barbie put Saji. Hi Andy, she's back. We have Aries from Kylie. We have Leah from Andy and Leah from ECAT. So I think these are all. And we have Cancer, which was already read. So we are still running. And let's see. So it's going to be actually this one. And I'm going to put the next one here. And it is going to be Sagittarius. Who gets Sagittarius? Barbie. Barbie gets Sagittarius. So let's get Barbie. So Barbie and Andy. It's the battle of minds. Like you see, Barbie has like literally Barbie, like second me looks like Andy. You're becoming also second me. It's just like uncanny that you can guys guess this, right? Because this is not easy. I mean, of course, it gets easier as we go along, but Barbie, this is the one that I really felt I have to pull for you, right? So it is enlightenment. So it's kind of like also yellow. It talks about confidence. It talks about kind of like dealing with, our true values, dealing with who we really are, right? So the story here is like about gaining peace, right? So there's like, I mean, a boy that comes to that spiritual teacher, right? And like everybody goes and see this teacher, like Eckhart Tolle, right? To kind of hear the wisdom, right? So he is saying, like, hey, you know what? I want to get enlightened. Like, what do I need to eat? What I need to do to get enlightenment? And this dude goes, you know what? You have to walk through your fears, right? Because that's kind of like the fastest way to do it, right? So for you, Barbie, that really talks about that there's like a time that your journey is more important than your destination. In Osho Zen, there's this beautiful card, 801s, that shows the tip of these very, very steep mountains, and like they're showing the proceedings going on. It's just a little dot. So it's kind of like you need to focus where you are, not to slip, versus like where you're heading while having the goal in mind, right? So this is really telling you that if you face your fears, you will grow stronger, right? Because that relief will await, right? So, what are your thoughts? Because you need to ask yourself about the results that you have currently in your life. Because these results are products of your thoughts. So you can really back up and to see where that was seeded. Similarly, wherever you seed now, can produce, and I know that you are waiting for this like lawsuit, and I keep seeing the car coming and winning, but it keeps being delayed, kind of a thing. So do not let the fear comes in here, because it can affect the outcome, because these outcomes are very fluid. They are not kind of carved in stone, right? So what is your path to enlightenment, right? You need to find a time alone. I don't know if you're finding enough of that time to really connect with yourself, to your higher self. You need to trust your intuition, and you definitely need the time for reflection. But ultimately, this is a card of courage. So I really hope that helps you, madame, over here. So we are going back to Sagittarius, and let's just do this. Saggies, your stamp is here. We have some kind of block party over here around the corner, and I don't hear anybody, so I wonder if they cancel it because of the rain. And I've never been in any block party. Anybody knows what to expect over here? So Sagittarius, let's fold this down. Let's fold this down. Sagittarius. Sagittarius is Earth Tone. There it is. Like, there you have a resident Sagittarius. That's for sure, Kylie. Kylie always gives us a feedback. Oh, yes or no, etc., right? But look at what we have. We have the Earth Tone, we have a Sky Queen, and then we have a 5 of Fire over here. So what is really happening with Earth Tone? It's kind of like a helping need and being protective, and somebody giving a hand, but it almost looks like that somebody will let you down over here. It's going to be like another one of those lessons, if you wish, right? So it's really interesting, because you think that this person is your friend, or maybe you will protect somebody and they will simply just let you down. It's really weird because ultimately you're also getting into that Sky Queen in a Queen of Swords stage. And as I said, for I don't know who I was reading and had this long explanation of Queen of Swords, she's not very loved or liked. Isn't that the case? The people who need most love, we don't give them love, and we give love to celebrities and all these people with extremely kind of like fake values. But this is the true survivor. This is somebody who been through thick and thin, who knows the levels and layers of abuse, but this person is really not talking about it. This person is actually more like on a quiet side, but it does have an edge. It does have an edge, does have a lot of scars, and all of them are reminders of the battles, but still standing and still here. Maybe the hair is missing, maybe the half of the ear is missing, but look at her. She's on a high perch, and she, I don't know if you can see it, that she has this beautiful diamond necklace over here, right? So it is really kind of like interesting how this really works, because she's really good for establishing boundaries, right? So let me just pull one more card, and it's kind of like you do not mess with Queen of Swords, and you also don't want to see her this way because, oh my gosh, that's the major bitch kind of a thing, right? So this way is like somebody who can be very helpful, but who also doesn't beat around the bush. Like swords are that way. They're going to, you ask them, well, do you think this dress makes me fat? Yes, it makes you fat. So it's not, there is no room for that kind of like buttering up or anything. So don't do it. Find something else. Let's not waste time. But if you ask the same question, let's say to somebody who is in a water sign, they'll say, well, well, the color is amazing and it kind of like complements your eyes and this and that. And like 10 minutes later, you know what, why don't you pick something else? That's kind of like where the difference is, kind of a thing. Yeah. So that's, yeah, brutal truth, Andy. Yeah. So we have here wife coming through, which is not necessarily a wifey per se. The reason why I wanted to pull this out is because I'm looking at this 5 of fire. So these are kittens are playing, and they're really establishing little by little by little who is what in the society, who is what among the friends, what are we doing kind of a thing, right? So 5 of fire is also about core beliefs. So that's kind of like where you get to the point that all of the history and ancestry and the backgrounds and your parents sinking in to tell you who you really are finally actually getting activated, right? And you're noticing that other people are not like you, and then you're calling them different and they're calling you different. So hence, in order for us to be able to tolerate each other, we need to establish those proverbial line in sands, right? And just to say, you know what, look, I mean, it's okay as long as you don't call me a jerk, kind of a thing, right? And so you kind of like have to do that mode of operation in order to really get along. So there is like maybe almost like some kind of quote unquote training. This could be all a business situation, but if it's a romantic situation, it will be okay. So how do we make this work, right? Because the wife here, especially because I wanted to see with the reverse card, is somebody who is loyal and honest. Like she's almost like very close to that Queen of Swords, because she has this empathy because she's been going through it, and good judgment, right? But there's like also about something that must be true, tried and true kind of a thing, right? So keep in mind that both of them are kind of like intellectual, confidential, and just like she has a child here, like this kitty has a child here, the little kitten. It's really interesting how you cannot cheat tarot and kind of like divination, right? So you will trust somebody of a really good moral character, or you're going to be very proud of yourself to have one, and you're going to be very trustworthy and dependable and look for the people who have the same, right? Maybe you're going to find somebody who is going to teach you how to even improve yourself to some kind of like stuff. So if there is, for example, a business or a work situation, then you're going to possibly have help from somebody with progress or implementation of a project, and somebody who is actually going to be on your side, and you will know it without a doubt. Like it's not like Knight of Wands reverse that I say, okay, this person is fickle. No, this is right on, and it's going to really happen. So my dear Sage, is like, what is the advice for you in this period? That you need to trust that a person is going to show up who is going to be dependable and trustworthy. Like, very simple. Like, I mean, trust me, maybe it doesn't sound like much, but many of us would trade any time for something like that. So it is kind of like good to find, and I kind of like foretell it might be a long-term relationship with somebody who can also be a mentor and guidance and kind of like really help you get what you want. In terms of romance, it's going to be a little bit less of lovey-dovey, more like about let's chit chat or kind of like friendly conversation. But I do feel it's a little bit of discrepancy of power in this relationship. That's why I feel it's more like a mentor and mentee, or mother and a child kind of like relationship as you see. And or as I said, it could be somebody much older that you are with. So there is like Kylie commenting on point, all unfolding energetically speaking. There is never any shortcuts in the journey of life. There are shortcuts, but then we return back to kind of like deal with this. So we will see how this really works. All right, guys, we are into the next guesses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like 3, 4, 5. So I think 2 more guesses, right? So we have a Leo, we have Aries. I'm not going to read it to you now. You have to kind of like trust your own memories here at some point. So I'm going to fold this. Aries, 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 and reveal. It's a Leo. Did we have Leo's guesses? Oh, was guess what? ECAT, ECAT. There you go. So putting your hat in. So ECAT, you're reading. Let's see what I get here. Do you prefer when I read right immediately, or when I wait for the end? Just tell me what you think. I'm just trying this. This is so much easier. Hi. Hi, this is Onyx. He's a big boy. He's the biggest cat now in the household, and he's like very cuddly. So you're looking Pisces man who can charm you, very much charm you. But when it's time to go out, he doesn't really care much about mommy in the situation. So workaholic. Ooh, ECAT, you're a Leo, right? You're double Leo from what I remember. So this is like a throat chakra, and throat chakra is all about communication and kind of like voicing out what we need and what we want, right? So that is like really, really important, right? So what do we have here? You know that these cards have little stories. We have 2 blueberries. One is like young and taut skin. Another one is like shriveled. I always like, for the longest time, I was like interpreting that as being a prune kind of a thing, right? So that's kind of like where, yeah, it's interestingly she's just guessed basically like right ahead of our sign. So there's like some kind of like motion in the air, just like Andy, and like no, you Kylie, you still didn't. Still, there is a time. So basically, there's like this like young blueberry that paints and paints and paints, and it's just like it's never enough time. Just like Andy said, it's a workaholic in the house kind of thing, but he's also perfecting his art. It's not only stenciling them out, but also how do I improve? But then the elderly blueberry one day approaches him and he says, you know what? One day you are going to be old and shriveled. You better live life to the fullest right now, right? So the young blueberry is thinking like, what the heck he knows, what the heck he knows. But then he wakes up the next morning with a change of mind, right? And he goes, you know what? I have to kind of like really live life, work hard, and kind of like play hard. So then he kind of learned that having fun is actually really enriching his art, that like he's adding these more colors. And this is kind of like his soul is like almost like this is not a mirrored surface, but what we put on is mirroring our creativity, is mirroring our soul. So ECAD, what I'm seeing here is that there's like something possibly career oriented, because there's like something that you want to complete before you live your life. Maybe you're keeping yourself too busy. At least the message is coming through that you need to allow space and time for doing the other stuff, because you might be hiding from real issues. So what you need to ask yourself is if you're maybe working too hard? Are you maybe suffering from burnout? Is there maybe something more important that you are, avoiding doing? um, you have to deal with this period. It's asking you to deal with any feelings that you might have of inadequacy, and this transformation is needed. Like your way of doing has to stop, and you have to figure out where is that imbalance, right? So yes, clearly, you have to figure out if you are fulfilled with work, and what would be the way to fulfill yourself with work. So just don't forget this balance, fun, and kind of like fun times and working hard, because there's like really talking about friends, and it talks about fun, but it also talks about talent and listening to the elderlies of people who've been through the same situation. So for you, that was like a very, very strong message, and also came in blue, which is communication message. So your spirit angel was like, she needs to hear it. So if you want, you can share with us what this really means for you. It will be really, really interesting, right? So there we go. She does have something, but I don't want to ask publicly anybody to reveal their stuff unless they really want to. So I'm going to put a stamp here for Leo, so I can start with this one here. So you guys can actually start guessing the next one, and that's the last one. That's because I have a 3 left, and that's really simple to guess. Hi. So Leo, let's see. Oh, you're welcome, my dear ECAT. So Barbie is creating a new sign for us. So let's go, Leo. Leo, you got your card. So here is the strength card over here. Here's the strength card. And here we have 9 of Earth. And here we have the Hermit. So you have very 2 strong major arcanas that I'm seeing here. And they are basically adjacent as well. So we're going from 8 to 9 to 9. This is really talking about some form of completion, right? So in the morning, usually, guys, I have a routine which will have to change next week. But that routine is usually that I 2 hours, exactly 2 hours or plus minus 10 minutes, I exercise after waking up, because cholesterol is at the highest at that stage, and by basically doing it, you give yourself a greater ability to lose weight, and has been really working well for me. And what I usually do, I go downstairs. I have this like vibration machine. So don't think that I'm doing some crazy stuff in the morning. I just stand on that vibration machine for 20, 30 minutes. And it kind of like shakes my body, shakes my blood, and shakes my lymph. And it kind of like wakes me up, basically, right? So I usually turn on the television and I watch podcasts or kind of like interviews at this time, because it really helps me to start my day with something positive. So I was really watching basically this morning about artificial intelligence and this GPT-5 coming through, and how deceptive it was, and how I was trying to find and outwit the person asking the question, right? And the guy was like mentioning something that, yeah, you know what, like, I mean, they were showing kind of like they were trying to get them to resolve the obstacles, and they were showing how they basically went through a whole bunch of physical ways, like somebody had to hide so the AI wouldn't find them, and they would build the walls around themselves from the elements, right? So the guy was mentioning strength is kind of like really important, because like it was the need, they could actually move these walls and put it around them. But then he said also what this GPT-5 can do, it can do something that is mental deception, which is kind of like higher level than this. So this to me, it's really interesting. I'm not saying that you're deceptive. I'm just saying how important it is to use everything that you can. Generally, strength talks about holding yourself back from things that you could do and easily access, right? So in the original deck of Rider Waite, we see a woman petting or taming a lion who's much bigger and stronger. And it's not necessarily the easiest situation. So it shows that we don't have to be necessarily the biggest and the strongest in order for us to kind of like push it kind of like forward, right? So Leo, this is clearly you showing up, but it's also showing up that you are actually moving toward, like, like, yes, you're Leo in this life. I'm going to say, Leo, hey, yo, you're again back here. Are you? I wonder if you have a Leo ascendant that you really want to see, or you just want to be a big lion. That's what it is. So, we are all moving to the next one. Like, you eventually are going to have a similar situation because, like, the Aquarius is the opposite sign, right? And that will be almost like the room above your room is the star card, right? And the star card is also talking about the strength, but it's like mental strength. That, like, I mean, Nelson Mandela, you can put me in jail, but you're not going to kill my spirit, right? So he needed both the strength and the star card, where, you know what, I'm physically going to maintain myself, but I'm going to maintain myself mentally. So that's kind of like where we are. So he's just sitting here on my arm over here, just like I wish that he's a little bit more on the screen. So it's a pen. It's so interesting. It's the pen, the pen, the pen. He just waits for me to open the door so he can go out. This card is really talking about feeling really comfortable where you are. So this cat is not even trying to venture out of her garden because everything here is like very comfortable, and she has what she needs, but she still wants to kind of like have this like observation point to kind of like have this window in the world, if you wish. And the Hermit really talks about, so in the Strength card we might be surrounded and have a whole bunch of things, and this is a matrix. A matrix. I was talking about your tummy. Can you show your tummy? No, he's off. So, like, I mean, with Hermit is like pulling ourselves in, exercising, kind of like our connection to the higher being. So that's also one of those cards that represent God and encounter with God that is kind of camouflaged, because many people don't like this kind of like disconnection. And they're like, I think it's called rose hip, right? And that usually indicates prosperity. So clearly to me shows progression. The progression is like about you venturing solo into something. This could be a marriage card, but there is like no divorce. It's simply kind of like connecting to yourself. Clearly nothing to clarify. There are two major arcanas. Two major arcanas are speaking, and no gypsy card will override them, kind of a thing. So you are moving along the kind of like development path. If you ever, guys, want to know what in detail I'm talking about, check the movie that is called Cloud Atlas with Tom Hanks. It has a whole bunch of people. What is this British actor, Hugh Grant? So it shows how they are actually living through different timelines, right? And like you are going to possibly also could mean meeting a Virgo or somebody who has a very, very strong Earth over here. So that is very interesting over here, right? So maybe it's not going to be the same feeling, because like you're used to feeling you being I guess a Leo, but this is going to feel more like a Virgo. Everything is getting a little bit skewed, I really have to say, universally, because Aquarians are supposed to be more like Scorpio. I'm already noticing I'm going deeper in stuff. Before it was like, oh, I want to learn English and French and Italian and Hungarian and Swedish, like all of that at the same time. Now, okay, let me stick to French. I really want to know that really, really well. So this is like a really card of deep contemplation. You might also devote yourself to yoga, because I really see this card connected with yoga, and like seeing somebody sitting in the lotus position and handling themselves. But literally what Hermit is, and it shows as a guy in rags, like meandering the mountain, holding a lantern with a big star in it. And that's the star that I told you would be like, I mean, second deck over here. And the star really means I need to follow my own authenticity, my own needs, where I really want to go and where I really want to finish. So this is like something where you're heading. Do not get scared, because it's going to be significant shift in in kind of like everything around you. And so there's like something to kind of like really explore, my dear Leo. And the very last guess, guys. Or did I say no more guesses? Or did I say guesses? What did I say? I said, yeah, this is the last guess. So let me see what we get. He's big on enlightenment and mindfulness. Who is big on mindfulness? Help me focus and go inwards and overcome fears. I'm not so sure who this is. Maybe I didn't. Oh, creative girl. Hello, how are you? Hey, madam, you need to join our WhatsApp group, so that way you can get these invites for live. Just send me an email to Mystic Cat Tarot. If somebody can write it down, mysticcatarot@gmail.com, so I can send you the invite for our WhatsApp group. I look at that. We have Aries and we have Aries. So we have Andy guessing, and then we have Kylie guessing, right? So thank you, Ika. I really appreciate that you like the reading. So Barbie is summarizing for us, and this was the last guess. And we have 2 winners. Today it was just like party all everywhere. So let's start with Andy. Andy, I'm putting you on screen. Is that okay? Just nod for me if it's okay. She goes, sure. I cannot hear you. Oh, I need to add it to the stream and unmute you. Here you go. There you go. Andy, you're getting like real readings today. So here it is. Perseverance. I love this card. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love this card, even though it just looks a little bit bizarre. It's really not bad card, right? The only card that I like more than that is like talk to the hand kind of card that really talks about our own stuff. But it's red. It's orange, like almost like said it's red. So it really talks about the story behind this card. Is like talking about this woman who always wanted to become a singer or an actress, something like that. And she got this like cape from another famous actress or singer, and it was like her kind of like what do you call it? Charm, like a charm kind of a thing, right? That she kind of like carried around, and kind of like, but the more auditions she was going, the more things she was doing, she was really not getting ahead. So one day she just said, that's it. I'm not cut for that. I'm not made for this. I'm just giving up. But then her guardian angel arrives and he says, just please persist. You know, like when you see these cartoons where you see the guy digging the tunnel trying to find gold and nothing, and then you see he gives up and gold is just right on the other side. You don't know it, right? But like it's kind of like that's the whole thing. How far will you go? So she's kind of like throwing off this cloak and everything, and the guardian angel is telling her like just stay the course, right? But she didn't really listen because just around the corner was a success. But the guardian angel couldn't tell her that. She was just encouraging her. So are you and denying yourself when you hear those little voices?
I have been. After the Sagittarius, I kind of got a defeated kind of moment, and then I thought, hell no. So I went back on the dating site. Now I'm talking to somebody new.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like where it really is. Like it talks about some kind of like universal balance that is kind of like upset if you kind of like don't persist, especially because you're Capricorn. You guys are given a little bit more powers of patience and persistence than most signs, and hence, unfortunately, expected to do that each and every time, kind of a thing, right? You need to be also able to ignore the feelings that can sidetrack you, because sometimes like you probably fall in the hole and kind of like that happens, some kind of shit happens, but you need to start analyzing these, maybe even have the little mini notebook diary that you can actually write this down and start connecting the dots. Eventually the pattern will come across. You need to ask yourself the value of perseverance and what this really means for you. But it's clearly the card is about breaking through, right? And this could be about work. I don't know if you need help in your work, but this could talk about something that is unseen. Somebody who's telling you, no, everything will be okay. No worries. Just kind of like keep going, right? Maybe sometimes people will take you for granted in the work and somebody will say, no, just it's going to come clearer one day. Just keep doing it. Something like that I'm picking up on this one here, right? So, but clearly this is usually the card of success and miracles, right? It's just like you need to also believe in yourself in order to manifest that.
Well, if the miracle man comes in my life, that'll be a blessing.
There you go. So just like you need to kind of like work on creating and manifesting that, and don't give up, because clearly you're getting this card and saying, you know what, the sex is around. There you go. My Freudian slip. Sex is around the corner. Because it's the orange. It talks about sacral chakra, and you just cannot miss it over here. All right. So let me go back to my main.
Okay.
Stream. Well, there you go. Can I? And who is this? Why is it? Oh, how do I do that? What do I do? It's just like, just keep clicking, keep clicking. Eventually going to find it. Okay, so let's do this. Who is the next one? There's like no guessing. So we are going to have, we have 3 more left. So let's do this one, and then this one, and then this one. I'm going to put these 2 guys here. So this is going to be Taurus. Any Tauruses? Thanks, Barbie. That's it. That's my email. So guys, anybody wants the reading, or like if you're mod, connect with me so I can give you the thing over here. And I completely forgotten to kind of put this on here, or put this on here. You see how neat is, like with this kind of like system, you can kind of like do all of that stuff. So I'm going to remove it because I actually hate when things are ticking around me when I watch something. But all right, so there is a deck. Who is it? Taurus. Where is my stamp? Taurus. Oh, wasn't it Aries? Did I not read Aries? Did we not? Yeah, we did have. Sorry, am I getting all lost? Anyway, I'm going to do Taurus as it is right now. So I don't know why this just came through my mind. It's just clearly bizarre, right? But let's see. Taurus. Terror Destroyer. Terror Destroyer is, I don't know, interestingly named over here. So we have 3 of Fire over here. Is it Aries, or is it? I'm actually reading Taurus. I think I just completely forgot to do it because you guys guess it, and I drew the next one, and then I'm going to go back to Aries. Sorry, Barbie. I got confused. It happens when you get to my age. Then we have like 2 of Sky, and then we have Death. So that will be Taurus over here, just to be clear. So again, it's that point before something happens. That's the 3 of Fire. We are kind of doing something. Then we have a 2 of Sky. It's kind of weird. Like you want something to happen, you're doing it, and then you change your mind. You become all flustered, and like then you don't know if you should go back. Because if you really think about it, it's 3, 2, 4. Kind of like, as you can see, like going 1 step back and then 2 steps forward. The proverbial kind of dance, how to progress. But the Death card here is upright, and again we see this like a progression of lives, and like there is like a light coming through. It just, the body served us as much as it could, and it's kind of like reached its physical end. It's still there existing clearly spiritually, but physically it is off, right? So to me, this really shows that you what you thought would be a good idea, what you thought it should go ahead and you should enjoy, is somehow not anymore a good decision. And almost looks to me that something was emotional. Something was an impulse, and it turned into an emotional decision. And it's going to be actually really sorry for not doing it. So my dear Taurus, wherever this is, and I'm going to definitely pull the card to kind of like get this Death understanding over here, right? Whatever this is, it's really telling you that this whole thing that you kind of like cancel and crossed out as if not working could be very successful if maybe approach it differently, because that's what this kind of like works here that way. When it's upright, it talks about something has to stop and something else starts. Not necessarily a bad thing. Something has to stop pregnancy. What stops pregnancy? Birth. Both of them are really joyful kind of things. Oh my gosh, I had a dream that I was pregnant and I was like in the hospital bed. I wanted to deliver, and it was a baby boy that I would deliver. I was like so impatient, which is my personality, and I was like, where is it? Why is it not coming out? Why, like, it's supposed to be here? It was just hilarious. I was like not happy about that at all, kind of a thing. But I didn't deliver in a dream. I was just like still anticipating. So I really don't really know what this means unless it's something new, something very new, just like this card coming through, right? So thanks, Barbie. Barbie is like good. ECAT kicked somebody out this morning. It looks like the YouTube is becoming again new cesspool for stuff, and usually they like to come to live and mess up. Wow, that is connecting with wedding card. But wedding card in these cards is not like the wedding card at which we idolize and kind of like have it in our society and all the planning and what do you call it? I mean, bridezillas and stuff like that, right? Clearly, it just really talks about something important. There's going to be ceremonies. So yes, these two cards combined can talk about death. So you might have somebody in your, circle of the people, and maybe this is why this is not happening. Maybe it cannot happen because it just got cut off. So I'm sorry to say, you probably don't hear me often kind of like predicting the real death, but that's kind of like what I really see over here, right? Also, you can see the bishop or pope over here, but it's kind of like it's some kind of like agreement that it's a business agreement, like marriages were business agreements, so just keep this in mind, right? So it's some kind of like authority or some kind of like destiny. Something is going to happen. It's a pivotal change. It's kind of like, yes, it's clearly a significance of some new start, a new beginning, meaning nothing is going to be the way it was before. Nothing, right? So if this is a matter of love, it can talk about something that is really sincere, but like that means that all of these dalliances and stuff needs to stop, and this is kind of like strictly left in the past, right? But clearly, to me, tells me that it's going to be something so significant. It's going to be one of those few moments in life that we remember forever. You know how you have these moments when you remember what you did, how you felt, what you were tasting in the moment, and they call this, milestones of life. And literally, people give me 9 of their milestones. I can tell you who they really are. It's not that hard to be a therapist. So this is really talking about some kind of confidence about your decision, and kind of like really, maybe you need. If you're married, you maybe need to kind of like really have a tete-to-tete, kind of like head-to-head conversation with your partner, and kind of like their expectation, because that's usually what really talks about it, right? Because it can talk about significant meetings or relationships that are forged as a result of some stoppage of some form. So it's going to be really interesting, my dear Taurus. It's kind of like hard for me to really give you more of a scope, because this kind of like came as the last card, and this might happen toward the end of transition. I would say from the 15th to 22nd of July. So keep this in mind. But like almost like looks like there's some kind of documentation that is going to be kind of like revealed at that point. So it's kind of like important to kind of like deal with that. So that's why it is. Oh yes, I forgot the other card. Thank you, Kylie's. You see how my mods are doing that, and that would be Barbie. What's the Barbie? And let me see. No, that was you. That was you. Sorry. And then we are going to do the Aries after that. Sorry, Kylie. And I know that you're. What happened to me? Oh my goodness. It looks like either somebody is like on my computer, because like my stuff is just opening for no reason whatsoever. So Kylie's, my apologies. So Let's do this, and then we will do the Barbie as well. So Kylie. Barbie. I guess Pisces last is Smarty Pants. Kelly, you're getting wisdom. So wisdom is like heart chakra, right? Like, I mean, it's a really lovely card. We have like this Mother Earth theme over here, right? And tiny little shrubs, but the dove is almost like kind of like hidden in this entire kind of like a thing over here. So what is the story over here? Like, we are here talking about how to put it, like there's like a risk and there is a calculated risk, but there is also stupidity kind of a thing. So I think that's kind of like was their definition of a wisdom, to know what is the difference between the three, right? So it is talking about these little bushes, right, that they're asking, you know, their grandfather, how do we really grow like with wisdom, right? And basically the answer they get, you have to learn from your mistakes. Because I don't know about you guys, sure, we can learn from other people's mistakes, but boy, do I ever learn it from mine, and not always on the first one, I have to really admit, right? So this is really talking about, you know, that you need to, if you worry about something, that you need to ask yourself, like, if this person is going to be, if this thing is going to be important in the future. That's like from that book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, right? So just Google it, you'll probably find it somewhere, because it will just go away and it's not going to be even pertinent kind of a thing, right? So you really need to enjoy the present form, as we will change with time. So it almost looks like you have this like wiseness be beyond your kind of like years kind of thing, but it's just telling you, you really kind of like need to kind of like be here and enjoy, right? So it is about maturity. It talks about staying in this now moment. It talks about the solution that is going to come from people who are possibly your mentors or people more experienced than yourself. Like you ask Andy, hey, maybe I shouldn't be putting my dating on hold for such a long time, kind of a thing, right? So this is kind of like really ultimately Kylie saying, do you go with your heart or do you go against your heart? Are you ready to live in a leadership? So you are kind of like being called upon it. So it's very, very important. So I really, really hopes this really helps, right? So thanks for keeping this the troll at bay. So I don't know what is today. Like we didn't have it in a while, but now it is Barbie. Barbie also gets her card. So I think actually everybody who's still here got a card, which is Creative Girl still didn't get it, but we'll see that. I don't know. I guess see like there is a way to see live streaming, and they put their like thing there, and I don't know if this actually ever works. It might work with porn, but we don't have men here, so tough chance, right? So Barbie. See, Kylie's thinking about you, Barbie. What is the card for? Oh, this one. And you're getting grief card. Like it's very similar to what you got before. Oh man, like will I be able to handle this card? So grief is love without a place to go, right? It's kind of like a heart chakra. Like, are you, Barbie, missing somebody? Is there something that like you cannot express anymore? Just like with when we lose a loved one or a pet, like over here, right? It's kind of like understanding that, yeah, sure, we have like all these memories of the happy moments, but in that moment we just cannot access them because the barrier is too high, right? So when I see this card and look at that, like the big green chakra in our heart opening, because the heart can be also pink chakra. So I don't know if you ever guys massage your faces with that gua sha tool, you know, that one that looks like a heart that you can buy everywhere these days. And they usually come mostly in two forms, in rose quartz, in a pink one, or in jade, which is green, because they want to kind of like get this heart that gives you this loving feeling to massage that you're giving. So that way it helps in that, from that aspect as well. So here is like basically talking about healing and talking about that, you know, we need to reveal things. We need to let things out. Maybe something has been festering, Kylie. So you need to give yourself time, because this is a promise of love, actually, believe it or not. It's like sometimes the cards are just the opposite of what they seem, right? So give yourself time and you're going to love again, kind of a thing, right? Because if you start thinking about the pain, again, as I was telling Barbie, or I don't know if I was telling it to the sign, you need to really see where you are now in life and see what thoughts you created to get yourself here. In the same way, start putting on the placemat many different things that you want to have in the future so you can walk in the space. And for the longest time, I really thought this is a complete bullshit, and I really believe in that now, because actually I practice that in my life to see, okay, I'm going to challenge that my analytical mind, and it really really works. So even though there's like a healing process and maybe you're feeling grief or you're maybe missing something, um, like this is still talking about love being on the horizon. And that can be self-love, Kylie, as well over here, because you need to give yourself this big hug over here, which I don't think you do it very often. I'm picking you up as an energy that is like just a Queen of Swords. You put this like really a shield around you and protect yourself, but ultimately you need a soft place, you need this hug, and you need this love. You need to be able to be vulnerable, but with people you trust. And unless we can trust ourselves first, then nothing else works, because people will betray us, people will let us down. So when we trust, and then that means even trusting that you're going to be okay, you're going to land on your feet if somebody betrays you, right? But without that, it's kind of hard to move that forward, right? So that's what it is. So hopefully that helps, my dear Barbie. Did I say Kylie? No, this is for Barbie, right? So this is my card. You're the Queen of Swords, Madame Barbie, right? So yeah, it's kind of like going through thick and thin and kind of like look at that way. So grief is love, it is no place to go. So yeah, that's kind of like I've been through that situation. That was my analysis. Whenever I lose a pet, it's just like horrible. All right, so now we are going Aries. Sorry, Aries, I did call you once before, but I decided to go on Taurus at that moment. So Aries. Did we do Scorpio? We didn't do Scorpio. We have Scorpion, Pisces left. Of Swords. Queen of Wands is a lawyer, actually. Queen of Wands would be, so I'm still thinking about Aries here. Let me just pull the cards. Queen of Wands. Ooh, Nine of Sky. And Four of Earth. Aries. Aries, you're not in a play mode. What's going on here? Oh my gosh. So you have a Nine of Sky, which is what I call wash machine brain. Like you're sleeping and it's one nightmare after nightmare after nightmare. You need to wake up, shake it out, go and get yourself a glass of water, fall asleep to get another dream, right? Four of Earth, and this is like the Fire King, the King of Wands. So he is reversed. So Fire King, not fun to be around. So there's like somebody who always wants to do something. He always wants to patter around. And like now he comes up with this, like, and you're used to that. You're used to going around, tagging along. And then at this stage, he decides, oh, this is amazing plan that I have. And he shares it with everybody. And you're like, yay, I will have so much fun. And he says, no, but I'm going to go on my own. And like you're feeling really let down, even though technically you shouldn't expect to be invited, but it kind of like was implied. So this is exactly what the upcoming month might look for you. You're going to feel that you are not really finding a solution, but you're either fearful or angry. It's going to be shifting through a whole bunch of different emotions. Then you do stabilize yourself, but you kind of guard yourself, because this is like Four of Earth, Four of Pentacles, where in the Rider Waite, and you know that I was, when I do monthlies, I always use my cat cards, and that's why it's Cat Tarot. Like, look, he has all the toys behind him in his gazebo, but what's fun of this is, like, if he's not playing with them, if he's just guarding them and collecting them, the whole idea is to share. The whole idea is like, sure, you have it, but like, there's like not this was not the intention. But the reason like why you are this way It can be typical for Taurus. Sorry, for Aries. Like I have to find Barbie's Aries over here. Very stubborn. Like Taurus is also very stubborn. Aries is very stubborn. Like proverbial kind of like two, what do you call it? Rams on a kind of like what do you call it? I don't know, like what you call this piece of wood over here. It's just like now when I'm learning French, like in French is so similar in words with English, and also the creation is coming through it. So it's just I cannot tell you how sometimes I get confused with words. It's just amazing, and it's also a sign that I'm getting really good in French when I'm mixing it up with English. So King of Wands is somebody who you really want. You want to accomplish something, or you want to be, because that's possibly you, but you're like feeling extremely negative. And I really have to say that the entire it's an easy solution. It's a very easy solution. You need to be around other people, around positive people. You need to come to terms with something, because this is the air, right? This is earth and this is fire. So you have lots of different elements, right? But your own element, it's in a negative way, but you are having anticipation of something really negative, or something threatening you, something really happening, and this is like completely taking you off kind of like the course, and it's really, really interesting. So I really want to see what it is, and it is love. So it is like literally almost like a love reversed. And I also want to see this dude, because there's like a lots of things happening. And you guys, Aries, usually live a fast life. You're also not the most patient sign. And look at that. There is like a widower released. So widower, where do I start? Look, love and a widower. Is there somebody who possibly is no longer here? Like I cannot but not to think about my brother, who is Aries. And my mom died on the 24th of June last year. So honestly, what really crossed my mind is like that Aries, like they are not dealing with their emotions with dignity, because they're the first sign. They just come out and they roar and they're angry, and that's simply kind of how they deal with things, right? And I can really talk about it. There's this love that instead of like expressing pain, it is rather expressed with anger. So that way it doesn't show that you're crying or that you're weak or kind of like dealing stuff, because like clearly in this combination it is really talking to me like a love lost, right? And Widower itself is also an interesting figure. It says on this grave, my cara mia, my dear, right? So it is somebody, and it's interesting that he still has the gloves and he's very proper, except the Wrath. I don't know how this is pronounced. I always mispronounce that one, so apologies. So he's kind of like bringing something. So he finally found enough strength to put himself together, to show his face to the world, to kind of like deal with the world and deal with stuff. So there's like this connection over here with somebody in the past, my dear Aries, who kind of like left a nugget in you, something that is growing now, something that has a really big meaning right over here, because this widower is reversed. So I don't know, maybe maybe you are healing, maybe that's kind of like the mourning is over, like maybe this is signaling the end of a period of that, some kind of solitude and being to yourself. And I just almost like there's like a selfishness. There was like a high level of selfishness in this level. Like you were not, hello, Matrix, you were not allowing other people in your world, right? So I don't know. When this card like appears reversed, it can be sometimes sudden. It can actually also indicate ending. But to me, because I think this is combining with you, it can really tell me that, I don't know, maybe somebody breaks up with you and then all of a sudden, like you're devastated, kind of a stuff that I can see possibly as well. And for a while, you're thinking maybe even arrogantly, oh no, he or she is going to call back. I have all this stuff. She or he cannot live without that. But then this kind of like really, really hits you really hard, right? So, my dear Aries, sorry, you need to kind of like acknowledge and accept that, like, loss of somebody here is permanent, and you kind of like need to work to kind of like move on rather than being stuck in the past. It's coming through very, very clearly here. There's like something that has been buried deep inside. It doesn't have to be literally a loss of a person, but maybe something that you always wanted, always had, wanted. Maybe you never had it, but you're still feeling quote unquote a loss of some sort. So Cancer transition is never easy for most signs. In like that, only I think Pisces and Scorpio are safe from that because they are last two readings, Scorpio and Pisces. So we're going to see what water speaks in this month because Cancer is basically their sister sign. But for all of us, it's tough because it's asking us to really, like when you go into water and you kind of lift the stuff from the bottom and all this murky stuff comes up. Well, that's what is for the rest of us when we go through Cancer, right? And okay, so let me see that this one is going to be you didn't pull out Gemini. Yeah, Gemini was first. And we are at the end of the sign, so lost track. Good thing, Barbie. Yeah. So the next one is Pisces. So we are going to do Pisces. And then I guess the very last one, just to check, will be. No, did I do Scorpio? I didn't do Scorpio. Did I do Scorpio? I don't remember. How come I didn't draw Scorpio? Was it one of those things that I just forgot? That's so weird. I don't have it written down. So we have 12 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I don't know what the hell happened. It's just beyond my comprehension, but it's going to be this way. Pisces first and Scorpio last. So Pisces. Here we go. Timestamp. It was long today, but we had interviews and communication. It's probably more fun like this. I'm going to eventually get it right. I saw your Scorpio rising, so let's see. Pisces first. Little fishies. You're getting a 10 of wands reversed. Shit hits the fan. So I guess you're not going to have that easy like the rest of us. This is kind of funny because Cancer always comes in the summertime, and it's the best time, at least here in Northern Hemisphere. So in Canada, we celebrate Canada Day, 1st of July, and our American brothers and sisters, like down south, on the 4th of July. So this is like a big kind of like a birthday celebration. The countries are Cancers, right? And yet you would think they're doing well. It looks like it's going to be a shitstorm. Oh my goodness. So kind of Pisces, do you have a Scorpio in your life of some sort, or Gemini? There's like, you have 2 major arcanas, and this one is a 10 to boot, right? So let's start with this, like 10 of fire, 10 of wands. In the previous situation, they were all sitting around the fire. It was all nice and kind of like cozy, but like they're starting to flicker around. Somebody threw something in and everybody has to run for a cover, right? It's kind of each to its own kind of a thing. And also when this reverses, it talks possibly about things hitting the light of a day, right? So this card generally has hidden secrets in there. It has hidden kind of things that are happening behind our back, most likely, or maybe we are doing something behind our back. So I don't know, Pisces, you need to ask yourself that, right? Because it's really telling us that no matter what it is we can do, it's almost like artificial intelligence. And this is why they're really terrified of that AI, because like it's is weird. For example, the guy was giving today example that they have trained that AI only in English. It was communication in English. And all of a sudden, the AI started to speak Persian. Like there was no training, there was like nothing fed to it, and it just knew it. And that's why they're like afraid, because they don't know if it's going to use that newfound intelligence to manipulate us, or to put stuff in the systems, or to build things that are not really intended. So we cannot rely without really, really triple checking. So that's kind of like what I see something here, guys, for you, because the magician is the trickster. Magician is who can make anything work up and down. He makes it work. Like typically when he's up, he does it for the good deeds, right? So again, Pisces, you might lose somebody. Like when this comes in the third spot, it can definitely indicate some kind of like a loss, and it was the end. You have tried everything. Like this is still a trying. It's like you're kind of trying here, but it's just like starting to feel a burden of problems. Like maybe you're with somebody and you're trying, but you're feeling that maybe they're not pulling their weight. Maybe you're feeling that, you're not authentic in the relationship. You're holding secrets. There are too many things that somehow that fabric is weak and it's full of holes and it just cannot be sustainable. You're still possibly going to a therapist. You're still possibly saying to yourself, because that's Pisces, right? Like they will go on forever. And that's why I always say the Aquarius is the sign on the highest level of development, or there should be, because the Pisces, I don't count. They're already transitioning in between the two. And that's why they maybe kind of come across wishy-washy to people. But then we have like this death, and it came like also like look, death of love. And also we have service here reversed. So yeah, something is not sustainable. Something that was like so meaningful, so important. It's just like it just cannot work anymore, right? Like there is like no kind of like ifs or buts about it here. It's so clear. And you also have that kind of like love, kind of like the jump like right next to it to be a double interpretation, because the service is about offering help, kind of like a protocol possibly as well, but it's kind of like coming reverse, and it's like really work. It literally means work. So something doesn't work anymore if you just want to go in a literal translation. So it's not going to work. Maybe there's like somebody who is more like an enemy than a friend, right? Possibly you have a person who is undermining your efforts, and it could be in the workplace, could be somebody who is a rival kind of a thing. Or maybe like if this is a loved one, it talks about the love reading. Somebody is working like on their own agenda, and that doesn't include you, right? You might in nature see appearance of somebody who appears to be helpful and everything, and maybe this is why you're still fighting, and that's where it feels like being taken, right? Like this love is false. Maybe you're convincing yourself into something, but you're only seeing that mask the person wears, not their real self. So you should not be that very trusting, right? You're gracious and everything, but you know what? You have to in this period start questioning the motivations of the people around you, and that is going to serve you well. Just print it out, and that is going to be literally the guidance for this time. Like that joke about the little bird. Oh my gosh, I'm horrible in telling jokes. Let me see if I can remember. A little bird flying to the south, right? But the weather becomes cold, and the bird just like drops down on the ground. It's starting to die because it's starting to freeze, right? And then as the bird is dying, he hears moo. The cow is coming by, and the cow just shat on him. And it is stinky, but sure enough, it's warm. It's putting him back in life, right? And then he starts to kind of like wiggle out and get out, and he started to chirp. But then the fox sees the bird and eats it. So, what is the moral of the story, right? So, not everybody who shits on you is your enemy, right? And when you're nice and cozy, keep your mouth shut. Should be effort in there, but like just for the live reading, I'm not going to do it. So something like that here that is really coming through very much. So that is somebody who definitely appears as a friend. It's the opposite, but it's not. So that's going to be something you guys need to do. And we are coming to Scorpio. I still can't believe it that I drew Scorpio, but I never read it. It was one of those things. So we are going to get here. Oh, let me see. I kind of like didn't do it. Barbie, I'm starting a new job again, and hopefully my last. My sister fell and broke back a couple of months ago. Oh my gosh. Help her heal. Like, sometimes love is enough and the energy is enough. That is very, very important over here. So, oh, You need to sleep. I mean, this is like such a perfect day that we have over here. Oh, you guys have a long weekend. We will have it soon over here. And yeah, Barbie, we are all sending you lots of love and everything. Oh my gosh, I can just imagine how bad it really, really feels, right? Um, sorry, hopefully my last. Oh my gosh, you are like really good, Andy. I come from Toronto. Like no job lasts more than 2 years. I'm always very nervous with this, right? So Marla Klein had heart surgery. Her boyfriend left her. Oh my God, Barbie, like you're not leaving time for yourself. That's what it is. It is, yeah. So that's why it is. That's the emphasis, Ika. That's for sure. Barbie, we do love you. That's for sure. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It kind of like really, really sucks. And you still make sure that we are here taken care of. Like you see the sense of duty. Yeah, you are welcome, but like we are here for you anytime. And I'm here for you, so you know. Okay, Scorpio, finally your timestamp. And let's see what I get here. Scorpio. And you're getting 5 of Cups. And there you go. You see my theory that the sister signs are feeling really great for this transition, just like really down the drain, both for Pisces and now seeing Scorpio. Scorpio can also go through a breakup of some sort as well. And like there's like a possibility of some new approach, a new beginning, and this came reversed. It's a fire kitten. For you, Scorpio, you're finding somebody very immature. And you're finding that simply you're blaming yourself. And you're blaming yourself, and that's actually also a very mature thing to do. You're going to say, I knew it before, and I trusted that things would change. And they exploded in my face. So I cannot blame anybody but myself. And that's kind of like what I see here really clearly, right? Because look at this cat. Even though this 5 of Cups is a really bad card when we see it in the Rider White deck, like look at the cat, fell in the water, got all wet, trying to get this little kind of like fishes that got stuck over here with the wind and stuff. But like it's more embarrassed than anything else, kind of like being caught and being seen like that, right? So maybe it is like more like that's what I'm saying. It's not so much about devastation as much as it is you feeling that this shouldn't have happened. I just wasted my time. All fixed signs, so that would be Scorpio, Leo, Taurus, and Aquarius. We hate wasting our time. We have different gradations of patience, from Aquarians being completely impatient to Taurus being fully patient, but every single one hates waste of our time. So there was like investment made, emotional investment that you're like literally you're checking out. I think this person still might be sticking around. And also these fishes are giving me this kind of like a lots of fish in the sea. You're moving on. You're moving on. You have enough. You had enough. And this is what it means. Look, it's right in between the doors. Do I want to in and do I want out? Is this proverbial cat? You open the door, they don't go out. You close the door, they want to go out. So this is the situation. You know that you're starting, but you turn your back to the situation. You are done with it. That's what I always admired about Scorpios. They can have this cut and it's like clean and it's done like suddenly. It just like that's what it is. You're a little bit concerned because there's like this fire kitten. So it could be somebody younger. Maybe you're being apprehensive about immaturity as well. Because there it is, like playing with fire over here. That's kind of like what it is, but it is reversed. So it is like something that not only impacts this person, but can impact anybody who is getting in touch with this person. So that is what is kind of like coming, and it's important. So I'm going to get a card for that. And we have sights. Um, so it's almost like that you're interpreting for yourself. Well, she or he didn't want to be happy. Almost like it felt like that you, as a mature one, had a recipe and you knew how to deal with the situation, but the other person was just not on the same thing. And that's why it's leading me to believe that possibly it was a different age bracket. Possibly you have been dealing with, so you don't have the references growing up, which is also hard, for example, on me as an immigrant. So, for example, there are some shows that we never had in Europe, and vice versa. We had shows in Europe, like one was Allo Allo, which was a British show, like, I mean, making fun out of the French and the movement of resistance, which was hilarious. And we have lots of Benny Hill over there, which was not such a big deal. And I guess vice versa here, like what is it, Living with a Beaver, like don't get those references as well. But I have been here long enough to get references for the past 30 years, so that kind of like guys help. So again, this card is being mixed with that side, somebody who needs support. And I guess what is this telling me is like that you made the determination that you're not going to find somebody who is taking you for a rock. You don't have a problem being a rock, Scorpion. You never had that problem, but you don't want to start something. You don't want inception where it's already starting with the roles not being properly divided, where you're like not equal. There's a clearly kind of like imbalance of powers, if you wish, over here, right? So clearly you have this desire for passion and love, right? But you also have worry and anxiety about who would be the target, who would really kind of like work about that, right? So it is some kind of anticipation of arrival, just like here, but the sadness of the departure, I don't know if this kind of like makes sense, right? So sure, somebody's leaving, but they will come back and it's going to be so much fun. It's kind of like really hard to shift yourself. I think once I caught myself, I know where it was, I just don't want to share it. But I kind of like caught myself feeling two feelings at the same time. It was very unusual. Did you guys have that experience? And very two conflicting feelings where, for example, the person was not really nice to you at all, and it created you lots of pain, and yet you could A, understand why they did it, B, feel very compassionate that they did it because they had to according to their life emotions, but also feel very very kind of like empathetic and pleased for yourself. You kind of like handle that with grace. So it was really different kind of like feeling in equal intensity of all these feelings, right? So there's like also some kind of healing that I can see over here, my dear Scorpio. And there's like something that is really happening this month. You're going to put the problems behind you and you're moving on. And it is like a big, big message over here. So let me catch up with you, and then we are going to do the doors. And look at this, like a creative getting a coffee. I'm going to getting a lunch over here where I am soon. So I think Andy and I are going to stay behind and chat a little bit if she has time, if she's not running to lunch. But with you guys, let's kind of do that. Barbie, I believe this is a Scorpio reading that must need a second. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. Like it was like, okay, so we know in the future that just because we have a sister sign leading the sun proceedings, that doesn't mean we are going to have an easy time, right? So, but isn't this rain needed? Like Creative Guru said, they have lots of rain in Colorado Springs, but we had 10 days of rain, then 2 days of scorching sun, which looks so muggy, I almost like fainted. And then basically now we are back to rain. Today is raining. So the doors. Let's do the doors. Here we go. So which cards do I do? Don't want to use this deck because I'm just keeping that for monthlies. So let's use this one. The doors, guys. Ask your questions. Ask your questions. Give me 3 doors. Give me 3 doors. Oh, 2 of them jumped out, so let it be. So the door number 1, the door number 2, and the door number 3. Today I put this like mouse pad underneath. This is actually mouse pad, believe it or not. And I really like it because my lines on the stuff were driving nuts. So I don't have the OCD today. So let me see. The door number 1 is Queen of Wands. So whatever you ask, it's going to happen. But it's also telling you don't put everything on the table. Hold something back because it can give you extra negotiating power, whatever that is. It's really important to kind of like think about it. ECAT has door number 2, and you have a 4 of Pentacles. That's kind of like an interesting answer. The answer is yes, but the answer is telling you you need to work on yourself for this, because you kind of like going to grasp it to yourself. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine, just like he's doing. But the entire kind of like lesson about his 4 of Pentacles is to share. And that is like something that you really don't, you want to for yourself. So whatever you get, it has to be shared in order for this to really get activated karmically. And that is really, really important, right? And Barbie door number 3, ooh, Barbie, no. The answer is no. Like, don't even go in the direction. That can be very, very, very painful. No, good news is the swords, and that goes really, really quickly away, right? And it also could mean there's a third person who has a say in the situation, and that can be the person. So having said that, usually when I see swords as a no answer, this means you can actually repeat a question at a different time. So number 1 is kind of like much better. So that's what it is. So creative girl, like it was so hot here that literally I couldn't be outside, and it was just hard to take anything. So there we go. We had 2 hours and almost 40 minutes today, and I think it was really, really different, and I really like this new format. I hope that other people will start joining in, like creative, that you're going to send me your stuff. You can join in like Andy. If you guys don't want to join with video, you can just upload your photo or anything that is your icon and can work with this way. I'm going to try to find out if I can join in with another camera. The problem is like I don't know how that would work with microphones, would be kind of like that feedback and stuff. I'll test it with Andy and how then we are off. And also, what is the best part? When the stream kind of like finishes, then you can stay on and we can chit chat with each other, which would be also fun to do it. Like, I mean, out front, kind of like when we do it. So thank you guys, appreciate it. Like, what do you think about this new streaming kind of like software? I think it's like really better than what they had. It was so complicated. I had to continuously switch. Now I'm seeing, because like I would have to go on one window to see the comments, on the other window to see the stream and to change the stuff. This is like now all combining. Okay, you did email me, so I'm going to send you the invite. Creative, I'm going to, okay, some people go with their nicknames, some people go with the name. I'm going to let you kind of like join it wherever you want and with any name you want. When you feel comfortable, we can kind of like really switch to that as well. So ECAT like StreamYard. Yeah, the logo is a little bit weird, but you know, it was, what was it, $30, 35 Canadian a month, which is, you know, for 2 times a month, it doesn't, I don't think that I want to spend this much money. It's not that much, but like, why to do it? And but maybe if we have it like a back to 4 times a month, somewhere in the end of the winter, that could be fun. But I'm not getting anything that I need to. It can be 5 more people join in, so that means I think we have enough of that. So guys, thank you so much for everybody being here. You know that I love you. You know that, you know, things are going to work out. So at any point that you need to refresh your memory in this month, just like go and check the readings again. In the meantime, I wish you all well. I hope that you're going to have a beautiful rest of June in spite of the weather. So our next reading is on the 1st of July. No, that cannot be on the 1st of July because it is a holiday here. So actually, we are not going to see each other for 3 weeks. And I'm going to try to release channeling David Bowie in the meantime. So there is like something going on. So wish you all the best. I love you all and talk to you in 3 weeks. All the best. Love you.